Yes. Kimberly, did you work on content last night?
I did.
Awesome. Did you have any breakthroughs, ahas, awesomeness?
Yes.
Yes, and I'm
Like,
gonna.
maybe even different today than yesterday.
Good. Okay. Anything specific you want to share with anybody? What kind of led you to that?
Well, I'm stuck in this place of doing a high-end membership that I don't have anybody to go into it yet, per se, and doing a lower-end membership where I have more people who would be willing to pay for that right now.
Okay.
And so both memberships are going to happen.
Yep.
The high end is the one that like I'm speaking on most of the time.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah.
And the low end is the one that like people take away more from right away.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like.
Have you
in the
been
constant
selling
struggle.
both of them already? I'm sure Micah has some
Yes.
stuff to jump in here too as well, but have you been selling both of them already?
I was selling the lower end one, and then I've moved out of one-on-ones and want to do more of the high end. So I could go lower end and keep doing that, or go the high end where I want to be.
You want to be there.
So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
this one's easier to sell.
Yeah.
This one is the more challenging.
Doing it.
So it's just kind of playing with it and seeing like, all right, which one is going to hit the road today?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just still, like, okay, God, this is your problem, solve it.
Yeah.
I do that all the time. Like, this is your problem, you decide, tell me which one. Yeah.
Do you have any advice on that at all, or?
I think that's great, yeah. Just like God decide, yeah.
Just like I decided. There you go. Do you need any slides?
No,
Okay.
I'm good.
All right.
This is
Okay.
like the warm-up Q&A part, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But for when we get started, you
No,
need some?
I'm good.
Okay, all right. We're gonna be drawing everything. All right, so
So I'm just
we're
in.
good. We're letting,
I'm in the space. That's
good.
it.
All right.
It's not good, bad, right, or wrong. I'll just figure it out. I'll make a decision. I can do that.
Anybody else working on stuff? Have any amazing ahas?
I went through our material on the dental side and realized that we're going to have to change everything. You have ruined my life. No, not really, but we do. There's a whole bunch of videos that we need to add of onboarding and so that they understand why they're doing this and where they are. And so it was just such an eye-opener. So it was great.
Good, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Taking them through the process, make sure they know where they're going. Yeah, perfect. Anybody else have anything else you want to share from last night? Nope, all silent. Okay. That means everybody is fully caught up and on board. It's always what that means.
Exactly.
All right, Micah is going to talk about some really great learning lessons.
Don't pretend like you know. I'm just kidding. No, so
Oh, I'm
thanks,
gonna grab
Jen.
grab my computer
I asked a couple people yesterday when we were going through the client path and pricing models about what they were doing. So I want to fill in a couple more people just so we understand what everybody's doing. But before we do that, I want to start with a little bit of a question. So this, I'm just going to kind of put it all together. We're going to talk about membership mistakes, like do's and don'ts, and we're also going to talk about LearnDash in a couple minutes, and even go on the technical side of LearnDash, and I'll point out a bunch of technical resources. But the question that I want to start with is, does Netflix use gamification? What do you guys think?
Yes.
Netflix.
I need to set this down.
In what way?
Move that.
Because just to be the devil's advocate, I don't think they do.
I think they change things
Let me
all the
get
time.
here. I can just set that
And
outside.
keep you guessing what's in there, and then you look around at the different categories, and you get to play. Is this drama? Is this whatever?
Is that a little bit like more a library, though?
I think it's a library, but because it's constant changing, that they're playing with you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna grab. this.
They don't leave you alone, so they're doing something.
Mhm.
Just let you alone to do. So they've got a strategy and something. The only thing that is smart to me is they turn around and say, because you watch this,
Mm-hmm.
you might want to watch this, which prompts me then to have access to part of their catalogue that maybe I wouldn't have found normally myself.
Yeah, they make recommendations, right? They're doing a lot of analytics on you. So here's my, we'll just do yes and no. So we're talking about Netflix here, right? Wish I could make the noise they make. All right. So you guys say yes because they make recommendations, yes? What else did we say?
What's it, the changing?
Changing.
Yeah, that's really.
It's a good question. So in what way is Netflix gamifying anything? Are they? I would argue that they're not.
I haven't been on it in years, but I used to
Mhm.
watch TV, and I can see how they are doing gamification, but I haven't been on it lately. So
Right,
things change.
So here's what I would say is they are providing great navigation. If you go into a series, for example, and you are watching episodes, they'll check themselves off. That's not gamification. So here's why I bring this up. When we talk about LearnDash, people think, oh, I'm going to gamify my site. Don't gamify your site. Use LearnDash like Netflix uses LearnDash first. And I've done this myself every time. I've never jumped to gamification. The reason why is LearnDash is more of a navigation tool, really. It makes navigation so simple. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I know because I was in the trenches like 16 hours a day, everybody wanted to do this, but it was hard. You had to set up individual tags for every video to check it off and read all the tags and make all these API calls. In order to do what LearnDash does by itself natively, you had to do a ton of custom programming to add and remove tags and change graphics based on that to make it appear like they're moving through what LearnDash or Netflix does. Does that make sense? So this is why I'm saying Netflix doesn't use gamification. So when we talk about LearnDash in a couple minutes, the point isn't to jump into badges and points and all of those things. Initially, the point is to use it as a navigation tool because if that's right, then you can gamify it. But what a lot of people do is they start with too much detail, like too much gamification, and it spoils the way they make their content and navigation, all that. So I'm just encouraging us to layer, not that you can't do badges and points. Those are great. The other thing that I want to point out is what does Netflix do? Why does Netflix work? If they're not using gamification, if it's this big wall of content, like we've said maybe isn't the best, there is really no onboarding. You know, maybe now they say, what are your shows you like or genres or something, I don't know, but why does Netflix work? Why do you binge watch shows on Netflix, more specifically? Because I'm sure I'm not the only one.
They make it easy to go from one episode to the next. It's almost an automatic process if you want it to be, or you can stop it.
And why, in that, why do you want to go to the next episode?
Because the content's intriguing or gripping,
Right.
engaging.
So Netflix, if you think about this, Netflix is the best membership site ever. I would argue possibly the most successful membership site ever, right? Yeah. And
You get to choose what you find to be engaging or of interest to you.
mhm.
They have a lot to pick from. You can totally avoid the other stuff. You don't have to choose that. You can choose what you want out
Yeah.
of their vast library.
And you can set up an account for your kids, right?
Control.
Parent-child.
Control.
And what I would say is it's because the content's good. It's because the content is good. That's why you go to Netflix, right? And like we were talking about yesterday, they do a lot of cliffhangers. They do a lot of attention grabbers. There's almost a rhythm to the way the episodes work because of all these 20-minute episodes, like the standard TV format. There's a rhythm in those things. And so when we were talking about the note cards, and I was saying, well, how are they going to feel on this video, that video? Even within a video, you can have a rhythm to that video to where they're like, okay, this was a good experience. For example, you go high chunk, super high level, abstract, down into the details, and then back out into abstract. That's a better experience than a video full of solid detail. And techies might try to argue, oh, I just want the detail. But the reality is everybody wants big picture, small picture, big picture, so they can get it contextually and link it to everything else in their brain. So again, when we go into LearnDash, let's just focus on the navigation piece. You can do all sorts of technical stuff, and I'll point out some more technical stuff. But putting this aside for just a moment, let's go through, Kimberly, I don't think we talked to you about your client path and pricing models. I know you were just saying you're kind of not sure at this point. So I'll come, well, go ahead. Yeah, do you want to go now, or do you want me to come back to you?
Whatever you want to do.
Let's go now. You seem ready. Go ahead.
So for the higher end, you're looking at pricing, is that what you're asking for, pricing? Model?
Yeah. Like how much content do you have? How are you planning on breaking it up and pricing it?
So I have content coming out everybody's ears. Like, I have so much content, it's crazy. So I try to keep that, I'm gonna keep it pared down. But mine's 12 months, each month they would have training and a hot seat Q&A call at the basic level, and a private Facebook group and monthly emails and handouts for that.
Each member gets a hot seat each month?
No, they get to apply. All of them
Okay.
get to apply, and
Gotcha.
then I do like 4 per quarter. It's only, the hot seats, I'm sorry, it's 1 per quarter.
So, and it's just 12 months? Is there anything after 12 months?
Not yet.
Okay. And that's great. That's totally fine.
And,
How many hours of content?
I'm sorry?
How many hours of content?
Probably close to about somewhere between 30 and 50 hours, depending on when I finally pare it all down between videos and
Okay.
trainings.
And then
Probably less than that, but we'll see.
how are you charging for it?
On the higher end scale, that would be $300 or $3,500 a year, $350 a month.
Wow.
This is CEO level, like training entrepreneurs how to be the CEO in their business.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
I have the backing to do that, because I have a multi-million-dollar corporation right now.
And then how many, so what phase are you at with this? Is this conceptual?
No.
Where are you?
Well, it's conceptual as a membership site. I'm
Uh-huh.
already teaching some of the stuff with my clients.
Right. But there is no membership site yet.
Right, it's
Okay.
beginning membership site.
Okay. Have you made, when you say you have content, do you already have hours of video and other formats at all? Or you're ready to create a lot of
I
content?
have audios and the handouts and all of that already created.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
just need to do some videos.
So you just need to like get in front of a camera long enough and, okay, gotcha. So what is it that you were feeling uncertain about earlier?
Well, I have a large, in Infusionsoft, I have a large group of people
Mm-hmm.
that I used to, I still do, but not as much, train coaches and help them build professional businesses versus being a hobbyist.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of those kinds of clients, and then I've shifted, kind of rebranded. But I still have all those people, and I don't want to leave them behind. And so then I have a lower level coaching piece that keeps coaches going at a more professional level.
Okay, cool.
And so that one's more on the lower end, the entry level stuff.
So you seem pretty solid now. Do you feel like you need anything or just to go execute?
I think I'm pretty solid, so
Okay.
it's just a matter of deciding which one I want to. I want to do the low end and get those people at least moving in versus doing the higher end and then having to sell that one. The other one's an easy sell.
So it's all head games.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. And
It's more likely that I'm going to go the high end because I already decided I didn't want to do one-on-ones anymore and do the lower end because I've
yeah,
been doing this for over 15 years.
yeah, gotcha. No, that sounds
That's
great.
more logical.
Sure. Yeah, you're just a little avoidance, but that's fun.
But
No,
I'm
it
here.
sounds like you're great.
I'm
Yeah,
here.
sounds like you're great. All right, Susan, talk to us about your membership site. How much content? How are you breaking it up? How are you pricing it?
It is $39.95 a month,
Mm-hmm.
$400 for the year. Occasionally offer lifetime buyouts, but not very often because I like that recurring revenue. The big aha that I got yesterday was that, I have my core site and my membership site, which is an academy. And then I have these subscription premium investment newsletters that I've had on other domains that they're also annual subscriptions. Network, and those run $300 a year. And I've always kind of explained it like the subscription investment newsletters are the what to do, because each month I'm publishing an idea about invest in this, and here's the reason why, and here's the ticker, and go and do it. And a lot of the people are like, okay, that's great, but how do I set up a brokerage account? How do I do some simple technical analysis on my own? So I've always kind of said that the subscription newsletters are the what to do, and the academy is the how to do it. So that's where I have, each month I publish a course on some sort of investment strategy related to income investing, which is my specialty. And then I do these, I call them insider tips. And they're just a shorter, kind of quick hit video training that doesn't warrant like a full-blown course, just maybe like a standalone lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And then each week we do a live coaching and Q&A call. So I mean, if somebody wanted to come in and buy everything in a bundle, right, then they could get it for about $1,000 a year. If they wanted to kind of pick and choose, that would be fine too. But the big aha that I got yesterday was that it's too difficult to keep those things separate. Like, I need to put everything on one side, including the subscription newsletters,
Yeah.
because then I get that, cross-sell and, upsell ability, and that kind of fear of missing out, and they can actually see the thing right there in the dashboard that they don't have access to.
Mm-hmm.
Then it kind of stimulates that FOMO reaction that, a lot of us hope for
Yeah.
when they log into our site. So, yeah, I mean, that's it. I think, I've had some semblance of this membership site since 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And I've played around with the pricing a lot. It's been as high as like $197 a month. It's been as low as like $27 a month, and everywhere in between. And this $39.95, $400 a year combo
Mhm.
seems to be the one that converts the highest.
That's awesome. So, with that, do you feel like now you just need to go through all the tedium of combining all those sites?
Yeah, and that's actually what I've been working on. As part of this rebrand that has been kind of a year and a half in the making, I finally have gotten some momentum to combine like the core site and my academy.
Mm-hmm.
It just, it was just a complete like brain fart that I just kind of left those other subscription newsletters kind of out on their own instead of folding those into that same site as well. So now that I kind of have the hang from a technical perspective of combining these things, and how to show the public-facing person who doesn't have access one thing, and how to show the logged-in member who has access another thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just going to be a matter of doing it, and making sure that all of the automation and short codes and stuff actually work.
Gotcha. And is there an opportunity for you while moving the stuff? Are you going to redo any of it, or is it pretty good as it is and you just want to?
Well, that's kind of the beauty of this rebrand, because the topic has kind of changed too. I have really retired a lot of my old content,
Uh-huh.
and so this gives me an opportunity to create new content and freshen it up, which is something that I've needed to do for a long time. So that's all kind of going
Gotcha.
along with it. And honestly, that's probably the slowest part for me. I think the problem that I'm running into now, now that with help of like Membarium and this workshop and some other things that I've been studying with regard to this tech stack and how to run a website and a good membership site. The thing for me is like committing to I guess what I'm going to call a content production schedule, right?
Mm.
Because it's really easy now for me, because I'm doing it all myself, to say, oh, well, I'm just going to kind of hide behind the admin of this and kind of tinker around with the membership site some more and fold these sites in and add a one-click upsell here and do all the things,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to, oh, I have an insider tip that's due today, I have a blog post that's due tomorrow, so I'm kind of trying to figure out how to juggle those two, but getting really close on the website component of it, and I think that when I'm left to just, okay, now here's the container, and it's my job really now just to create the content and provide a great experience, I think it's going to be much smoother sailing.
Gotcha. And I really appreciate you sharing. I hope everyone's listening closely, because listening to each other and hearing kind of the stages people are at, this is kind of where you'll end up at some point, which is, okay, if I took, let's say I wanted the advantage of a separate brand, so I built a totally separate membership site, and it's branded differently, and I think this is a good idea, and whatever, and maybe for the time it is, maybe it does make more sense, right? Because separate brands do have more value than individual products within a brand, potentially. But then you're at this point later, and so, Nick, you going from platform to platform, finding what to do. I don't know at all if you're going to combine those sites, but you just kind of want to think down the road to where Susan's at. And I've met a lot of people in this situation where they get to the point where they realize, okay, what do I really, really have to do? Like the thing kind of scales and you have to simplify. And yeah, like a content production schedule, it's like that's, there's only so much of that you can sub out really, right? The really, I would say, architectural decisions on how to build your stuff because you can see down the road and realize how it's going to impact you. And so I really do appreciate you sharing. Thank you, Susan. And Bill, we were talking yesterday. Do you mind me sharing a little bit about what we talked about? So you guys didn't see my slides yesterday, but when I said most memberships fail, under it gave the reasons, and the reasons are really addressed in the stages. And one of the reasons that we didn't quite talk enough about that's on that slide is they don't understand how membership actually fits into an overall business. So as an example, Bill was talking to me about trying to figure out how to structure his content to work. How much is this going to sell for? Is it a one-time fee? How much do I commit to this? And especially when I said most memberships fail, he was like, that kind of makes me wonder. But as we talked more, what it came down to is they have a service package that's $1,300 a month. That's what he really wants to sell. And so Susan even said something about how the newsletters are the what, and then the little courses are the how. And we were talking about the what and the how yesterday about how he can make a free membership site. So understanding how a membership site fits into his overall business, he can make a ton of money with a free membership site that teaches them what they should be doing, these contractors to market their business, what they should be doing, and then the how is hire us, right? And he can be blatant about it. Hey, the membership site's free, the content's great, it is exactly what you need to know, it's high-level stuff, and if you want it done for you, we're right here. If you want to figure it out yourself, maybe here's some resources, but the education's free. And so you can be blatant. Every single one of those can be a commercial. And so I just share that, especially with, touching back, Bill, just to point it out to you, what she said about the what and the how again, just to encourage you again. But yeah, it can be the whole business. It can be kind of a lead magnet, but a really advanced experience lead magnet. Bill, let's go to you. I don't think we covered your thing yet, right? Do you have any other questions or thoughts?
Sure.
Or
Just, I hired this really cool company named Formula Done to make my site 6 months or a year ago or so. I don't know, 6 months. And I had some good learns. Didn't have the right content, and it wasn't aligned with the end result. And the contractor was like, "Can you just do this stuff?" They're not interested in the site. So I'm using this place to start from scratch. That's what I was picking your brain about. So I liked your idea. If I had to teach a conference and people paid me $5,000 or something, what would I put in there? So I'm just going to create videos to like jumpstart your contractor business, something like that.
And just for everyone else to share what I said to him was, if a bunch of people, and so think of this for yourselves literally for a moment, if a bunch of people, let's say 20 people paid you $5,000 to spend a day or two in a room with you, what would you tell them? Go on.
No, you're right on. That's really helpful. So I'll make videos for that. I don't know if I will say they're $300, then for $7 you get all this stuff, and just use that as a platform to advertise my company. Like it's so cheap.
Sure.
Look through these ads and these plugs. And
Yeah. I like that. It's like irresistible, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it makes money because I have this business model that's set up to scale, so I'm not trying to get $20 a month from somebody or something.
Right.
That's my thought process right now.
No, it's perfect. And that's exactly, how a membership site can fit in without selling information, or even if you do sell a little information without trying to profit off of information necessarily. I love it. Aaron.
Yeah. So we have 3 different levels of membership: our standard, pro, and VIP. Our standard is a monthly fee of $159. And then we kind of go up to our pro, which is our annual fee, but we also include like coaching and
Mm-hmm.
you get like a project on our Basecamp or our website to work with our team individually. And then that's a $5,000 annual fee.
And is there a full service agency under this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then our VIP is everything that standard and pro has, but you also get to go to our semi-annual workshops.
Mm-hmm.
Membership numbers are coming from seeing Dennis or listening to Dennis and Logan speak at major conferences that we go to.
Mm-hmm.
So they get interest that way, and they come to us through our site, through Lead Magnet, or people are buying our courses by themselves, and then we upsell them to the Arclist Nation.
So where are you at between when you started yesterday morning and this morning? Anything different or things that you're thinking of doing?
Definitely our onboarding needs to be a lot more clear on the path that our members take as when they sign up. So we don't really have a clear path for them. We kind of just throw a bunch of material at them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I want to focus on, is making sure that they know what to do when they onboard or when they buy our membership, so they have a clear path and they're not left alone kind of thing.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. So are you guys ready to talk about some LearnDash stuff? So tell me, we went around and several of you were like, if I could just get this technical part, I'd be great. What exactly do you mean by that? And I'm not at all, I'm just really wondering, does that mean if you knew how to just create a course and populate it with lessons? Does it mean you have some sort of technical glitch? So who was it that mentioned like technology was a major reason to come? Nick, so specifically for you right now, if I could like wave a magic wand and solve some technology problems, what would they be?
So we've talked about the Franklin model of creating credits that can be redeemed against a product,
Mm-hmm.
a series of products.
Yeah.
And the actual technical part of they go in and they redeem against a product, then they credit it.
Uh-huh.
So if they pay for a month and got one credit, they know 0 credits and how to handle that if they then go to purchase something else.
Sure.
So
Okay.
they were directed to a young kind of credits or band that got 12 credits and they can just rattle away down.
So let's get nerdy for a couple minutes. The whole credit system thing, I was telling him earlier, it's a little bit tedious, but you can do basically anything you could imagine. And I wanted to mention to you too, because you were saying, I can see how to use the parent-child. What I didn't mention, and it's a little bit related to this, is you can sell both of those things in any way you want. You can say, hey, it's a subscription, and every month you pay, you get 5 new child members, or 27 credits. And if this happens, we minus 14.5 credit. You can do whatever you want, doesn't matter. So ultimately, all this is it's storing a value in a field. So you have a custom field, and that equals, whatever, credits, right? So we'll call it the credit count field. So how many credits does this user have, right? So there's a person here. This is a field, a custom field on their record. And then all we're really doing is we're saying, you bought something? Well, what is it and how many credits is that worth? So there's a whole settings area to say, or you can set up in shortcodes, there's a couple ways to do it, but you can basically just say, yes, if they buy product A, 10 credits, product B, 30 credits, product C, whatever, and then every subsequent billing is whatever amount. And all you're really doing is you're taking this field and you're either setting it to an exact value, you can do that, or you can add or remove from it. Basically, you can run math functions on a field. And this is all with Membarium. I know Plus this also does run math functions on fields. We've had it in there since, I think, the very beginning for this reason, because people were doing credit systems. We just don't advertise it because Plus this is a good partner. So use them, use us, it doesn't really matter. But this credit count, like I said, any action in Infusionsoft because, and I'll explain something real quick here. Here's Infusionsoft. There's WordPress. And here's Membarium, right? So the credit count is ultimately stored here. It's a field in Infusionsoft, right? But every single time they log into WordPress, Membarium goes and checks it and updates it, right? And that's why I say anything that happens in Infusionsoft, oh, they got this email, they got this tag, they bought this thing, whatever, you can update the credit count. You can also, because it's an action, what I would say is this is almost a black box where any action from here, you can kind of create anything in here. And any action here, you can kind of create anything in here, right? That's kind of the whole purpose of Membarium. So in this case, we're taking this custom field. You can add and remove to it based on anything you want. And in Infusionsoft, how many of you are familiar with the billing triggers? Billing triggers, sorry. A couple of you guys. And I know a lot of you don't use subscriptions yet, but a billing trigger is basically an Infusion. It can detect, it can say, when a credit card charge is made on this whatever, product, subscription, in Infusionsoft, what do we do? Well, if it's successful, what actions do we run? If it fails the first time, what actions do we run? The second time, what actions do we run? So there's all those triggers. You can go set them up. And that's where I'm saying you would say, if it's successful on whatever products, change this field however you want. If they're in the membership site and within 7 days they have watched this video, give them 5 extra credits, right? Whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. So once you understand that it can go back and forth and it can be caused by anything on either side, then it's like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And ultimately, Nick, if you engineered it out on paper, then if you were to run into any hiccups, you could just email support and say, hey, I'm trying to do this to make this happen, and I'm not getting that result. What am I missing?
So I don't use Infusionsoft billing, I use Samcart, which can deliver tags to Infusionsoft.
Uh-huh. So good point. So here's Samcart, where he's doing his billing, right? And it delivers tags to Infusion, which again can just go like that, right? And that's what's cool is anything, what we always tell people when they ask us about integration is Membarium isn't actually the hub. Infusionsoft is the hub. Anything you can connect to Infusionsoft can go through Membarium to WordPress. Most people think, how do I connect Samcart to Membarium? And I say, well, you don't. You connect it here, it can do anything it wants to that. Does that make sense, Nick?
Micah, what are some creative ideas that people use to issue credits to the clients?
So a couple ideas. Have you guys seen the case study with Bernardo of Grayspace? Anybody in here? Susan has? Okay. It might be one to go check out on our website. It might be the first case study we did even. But they were doing credits back then, and they did a couple things. So they did a $1 trial, and then once you bought, you got credits. And I don't remember how many, but the credits unlocked course. And their whole thing was a grid. So if you can imagine, they've got this product grid, right? And it goes down a little bit more. But when you first log in for $1, there's a couple things there, and everything else is grayed out and unlocked. And like I said, I don't know how many credits it is, but it was all purely on credits. No, you could not pay for stuff. You paid for credits. So I was like, oh, for $7, you get so many credits, you can take so many courses. And that seemed pretty appealing the way they positioned their courses. And then once people were in, they would give them credits every month. They would also give them bonus credits for completing courses. So it created this cycle of, hey, if I complete a course, I get credits to get a course to come, you know what I mean? And they could buy extra credits. So there's a section if they wanted to, they could just go over there and, hey, instead of waiting for my next monthly billing to get more credits, I'm just going to add 50 credits. So they could just go in and pay whatever amount for more credits. And what I thought was really kind of interesting and tricky that they did is, and they were transparent about it. They told people right up front, if you cancel, you lose all your credits. Basically, all the content locks back up. So the further the person gets into it, the more stuff they have, the more valuable it is, right? So it's kind of like a momentum builder for them. And especially for what they were doing, which was a lot of personal development, like quit smoking, lose weight, all sorts of stuff. It was very important for them to motivate those people. And another thing that they did that was interesting is if you went to cancel, there would be a video that would pop up and say, hey, listen, you probably joined the site for one of 3 reasons, blah, 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 right? And you're probably wanting to leave for one of 3 reasons, blah, 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 blah. Well, and then they would overcome each. If it's this, let me give you this to overcome that. If it's that, let me give you that to overcome it. If it's this other thing, and keep in mind, if you leave, you lose all your credits, but if you stay as a one-time courtesy, this won't happen again, I'll give you whatever extra credits, right? And so you can, once you get into the credit idea, you can be super creative, right? And what's nice about being super creative with credits is you're just changing a field. But when you're trying to upsell, downsell people and use their credit card information and bill them money, then they really question that, you know what I mean? And not that you're trying to trick them, but I'm just saying it creates a lot of friction of, hey, are you sure you want to leave? You know, blah, blah, blah. What if we just bill you a couple extra dollars for this? Or what if we delay your next month's billing? Or once you start talking about billing, you're in a cancellation conversation. But if you're still in the credit conversation, you're in a learning, progressive conversation, yeah.
What was the name of this person and how do we access this?
It's on membarium.com. It's one of the case studies on the video tutorials. But if you want to write down gracesmith.tv, gracesmith.tv, if you were to search that, you would find it on our site. But that's the name of the membership site that this case study is about. So Nick, any follow-up questions?
With that and our conversation aside, I think
Mm-hmm.
the main thing was, what is the function that can control this? That was my main sticking point.
So if you, on membarium.com, just search credits or credit system or whatever, there's an article that points out all the functions that come into play. So it says, if you want to add to the field, use this Membarium HTTP post. And here's how to configure it, et cetera. So that one document kind of, Dave wrote it, the developer of Membarium, so it just runs through, hey, here's all the detail. Cool. It doesn't seem like that was too nerdy for you guys. You good? Cool. All right. Yeah.
You said that was a Membarium thing that you guys do, or is that an Infusionsoft?
We're using an Infusion field to store the value, but it's Membarium doing it all. So even if they buy an Infusion right here, what we're doing is we're detecting the purchase and then kicking back an API call to change the field. So one other thing I wanted to say about that I mentioned briefly to Nick, but just to open up Pandora's box a little bit, Membarium has unlimited local fields if you want. You can just set them at random and track them. And I say that because Infusionsoft only has 100 custom fields, right? So all the other stuff that people want to do when they say, hey, it's a weight loss site, I want people to enter their starting weight and their just goal weight and every week make a journal entry, blah, blah, blah. All that can be logged into the database here because we just use the WordPress database. So some people do the credit system here to minimize API calls back and forth there, which you can do, it doesn't matter. But that's like high scale sites. Because of Infusionsoft's API limits, you can go into the local database and do whatever you want. The reason it's so convenient and that I would recommend most people keep it in the Infusionsoft database is then you can send them an email and say, hey, you have X number of credits, because it's a custom field that you can merge into an email. So it's pretty handy to have in here. Even the people who do it locally, what they'll sometimes do is they'll keep a lot of the functionality local, and then they'll still push an update here just to communicate. Yes?
So you were saying there, we get more custom fields in Membarium?
You can define and add value into any field you want in Membarium, yeah.
And we don't have to push that into Infusionsoft, it can just stay in the
Right.
WordPress database?
Right.
And then can we with short codes or some way display that back to people? What
Yes.
they put in there, so
Yeah.
that we can the Infusionsoft?
Yeah, so these are fully functioning. Membarium, how many of you, does anybody use custom shortcodes?
I do in other.
Nerds.
Know this when I
No.
do other
No, that's great. I don't know if you guys know this, but Membarium has a custom shortcode, a whole language construct that's pretty much like PHP, but you don't have to know PHP or any of the syntax. And what I mean by that is you could make your own custom shortcode that says, you know, member preference, right? And if they set it to red, it can display a whole other bunch of junk. If they set it to blue, it can just, and they can be embedded in each other. You can go, it's really out there.
Yeah.
But I'll give you an example of one thing we do with these custom shortcodes. So we have a client who, they were kind of an old consulting client of mine. So I did this custom for them initially, and then we moved it on to Membarium, which is they sell to big companies like Procter & Gamble, whatever. They sell a membership and they sell like 100 seats, right? But because all those people are in an office, if they give them one login, of course, they're just going to share it with 100 people, right? So what we did for them is we set up a counter where every time a video is watched, it makes a local log in Membarium and it says, this video was watched by this person. And if they watch it twice, 3 times, it counts it, and they wanted it limited to 5. And they also sell to Chinese companies. They sell thousands of licenses, overseas. And so abuse is rampant, right? And so they just want to keep it in a manageable range. Like, okay, there might be some abuse, but also some people might really legitimately want to watch the video 2 or 3 times. We should let them do that, right? So that's why they give them a few. But every video, we just randomly, we take the Vimeo ID of the video, we create a local counter of the Vimeo ID, and then using shortcodes, you could just pull it back up. So there's a shortcode that pulls up a local variable, and you can pull it up, you can do math on it, you can format it. So all the text formatting, math functions, everything works on those custom fields. And so what this is doing is we have a custom shortcode that says their tag 1 is this ID in Infusionsoft, their tag 5 is this one in Infusionsoft, meaning, so if they've watched the video 1 times, there is a tag. And if they've watched it 5 times, there is a tag. And the reason for this is in Infusionsoft, when they watch it, it pushes them forward in the campaign. When they've watched it 5 times, it notifies the admin, right? So for every single one, and I'll draw this out. It's going to be a little hairy, but stick with me for a second. So they look like this. Memb, and this is the nerdiest we'll get. We'll stop right here. So if you do memc, this stands for custom. So memb, all the shortcodes in Membarium start with memb. Memc is custom. You can do whatever you want. You can define anything, just whatever, right? As long as it hasn't been done before, it's up to you. Make it up. And this, then, you can create your own parameters. So on the back of this, you can say color equals red or whatever, right? You can say size equals large or whatever. So this is what they actually go put on the page to display the video. And in their case, they add things like video equals, and it would be the Vimeo ID, just the Vimeo ID, not the link. And this would be, tag equals whatever. And then on the other side, this custom shortcode, where you go set that up, you can merge in any of these parameters. So you say, whatever they put for color, I want that merged in, and it's the double squiggly, where I say color with double squigglies, and it puts it there. So this makes it so that if you have 100 videos on a membership site, if you embed those videos individually on every page, and then you later want to change your embed code, make the page bigger, smaller, whatever, you have to go change 100 pages. It's easy to make a custom shortcode that just says memc video ID equals, put that on all 100 pages. All 100 pages reference the custom shortcode that says, well, here's all the HTML, and then the video ID is inserted wherever. Does that make sense? And then you can go say, well, now I want all my videos 840 instead of whatever. And you can tweak it. But what's crazy about this is if I have this custom shortcode and then I have 5 other custom shortcodes, they can be inside of each other. So you can say, load this one, and based on all that, load this one and see what it does. And that's how people do whatever they want. And that's why it's kind of like a vague non-answer, but it's like, yeah, you do whatever you want. And especially because it's WordPress, which you can really, really do whatever you want. But yeah, that's, like I said, the custom shortcode thing, it sounds like, oh, probably don't want to use that, sounds technical. But if you think about, really, you're just saying, okay, I want a part of my page that I want to vary based on something I defined somewhere. Yeah, now you can do that. So it's got a lot of uses. Probably for you, Susan, for the scale of your site, implementing something like this will help you a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. My life totally changed membership-wise when I started actually using the Membarium shortcodes.
Oh, you already do?
Yeah.
Well, the custom shortcodes too?
We've just set up a custom shortcode. We haven't implemented it yet, but it's actually for something along the lines that you're just talking about.
Oh, cool.
But with the other shortcodes, just setting up even like a simple My Account page,
Mm-hmm.
right, where they can add credit cards, update credit cards, they can see the subscriptions they have, the thing that I was concerned about with renewal, see when it's going to renew,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. It's just simple stuff, but it's nothing that I've really played around with before, but once I did, it was like, holy cow, I can't believe
And it's not
free at anything.
hard, right?
No,
Like just because the word code is in there, some people worry, but it's short code, which means it's like legible. Yeah.
No, it was super simple. It's, you know, it took me a second to kind of figure out kind of the syntax of the stuff, like, I don't know the words, but I just say how to pimp out the short codes, you know,
Yeah.
add additional functionality.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, once you kind of figure out the flow and you figure that out, then, you know, your brain just automatically starts looking for different ways to use them.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
Yeah. No. Yes.
Would it be fair to say that at the infancy to childhood stages, we don't need to spend a whole lot of time focusing on like the credit?
Give this guy a medal. Yeah. Yes, I would say that's very fair. Thank you.
Get some members who keep selling.
Thank you. All right. So why don't we take a short 5-minute break, and then we'll come back. I don't know what time it is, but. Yeah. Of the things out here, I don't know what's on this. Oh, it's the short code page. It looks really bad on a squished screen. It's all right. So first of all, with the short codes, just in case people have avoided them to any degree, I just want to point out 1 or 2 things about them real quick. So I'm going to just go to the most basic one, mem contact. This is probably the most common the first short code someone would ask about or want to use. Is how do I put their name on the field, or like use a field from their record and put it on the page when they log in. So it's just mem contact, and then you define the field or fields. And then you can also format it, and this is what I was saying that you can do really with all text short codes. If you come down on some of these, you'll notice these parameters. So these are things you define, and then there's also these attributes, which is, you know, is it conditional, is it nestable? Nestable is when I was saying you can put short codes inside of each other. That's nesting. And accepts formatting as yes. And what this means is you can take that, whatever's in the field, and you can capitalize it, lowercase it, take out this, you can do whatever PHP text formatting function that you want. And anything that's date related would have, you know, date formatting functions. And that's why I said this is kind of like a layer over PHP, because it is actually a layer over PHP. Behind this are PHP functions. We're just letting you, in a more simple way, feed variables in and then running it. Because WordPress runs on PHP. So I just wanted to point out the short codes, that's how they work. There's a lot of other types. So mem contact is probably the first one. The next most used is probably something like mem has any tag or has any membership. And basically what you're giving it here is you're giving it something to analyze. You know, do they have the tag? What's the tag ID? 123. Now if they do have the tag ID, show a message. And I apologize, this is, there we go, different format. So it's saying show this message to anybody who fits the criteria that it is surrounded by. So this is the beginning of the shortcode. The end shortcode always has a little backslash. So that's all this is doing. And that's why, you know, when we say shortcodes, don't be afraid. There's really basic uses to them. This same one, it can have an else statement in it, which is to say, hey, if you have either of these tags, we're going to show you this content. This could be a whole block of HTML. It could be videos. It could be anything. And if you don't have those tags, then show this other content. And this is how those grid blocks are made when they're saying, hey, show them the full color, you're a member, you can watch this, if they've got it, and show them the, hey, you're not a member, click here to buy, if you're not, right? So those are just a couple shortcode basics. And then for the credit system, this is that article. Oh, look, this is us. Where's this guy? This is that article where it basically kind of walks you through the why and how, talks about storing and adjusting, and it links off. This, for example, is that math HTTP post where you come in and you can define it. So it gives you an example, but you can go get, you know, your version of it from your Membarium, and then you do whatever you want to it. It basically says, what's the first value we're using? That can either be a field or an actual value like 50 or anything. And then what do we want to do to it? You know, do we want to, what's the function? Do we want to subtract, add, multiply, divide? You know, go for the max, the minimum, the random, whatever. You can change this as much as you want. But again, this is all just leaning on PHP. So another good thing is if you have a developer, you can get them to set this up for you. And I would encourage you, if possible, even if you have a developer, don't let them code in PHP for you. Have them do something like this, because then you can tweak it and you can easily train someone else to tweak it. And even if you do bring in another developer, they'll understand instantly if you say, well, this is just a layer over PHP. It's using the same PHP. And we use the exact same, like when we use their date formatting, text formatting, we use the same variable. So they wouldn't even have to change, you know, there's nothing to translate really. So that's that. The videos that I mentioned earlier, and I'm just giving like a quick tour so that if you guys want to go deeper on some of that you can. So that's all the basic stuff. But down here in the Membarium training videos, a lot of these top ones are case studies. And this one here, we're actually going to log, this is that site. We're going to go to the site in a second and talk about LearnDash. But there's a couple others. So where's Grace Smith? It's way down here. So this is the Grace Smith one. And like I said, if you go through these, I'd mentioned the other day with community that they all simplify their community. So this Fit Father project, this is a great one for client path. This is a great example, and I should have mentioned this yesterday. But they have a very specific client path with this Fit Father project. They do not let people buy any of their other products. They only let them buy one product. So it's for dads, you know, trying to get in better shape, all that. Whoops. Yeah, you're good. And anyways, they, like I said, they only let them buy the first product because they know if those guys buy any of their other products, which are all good products, they're not going to be as successful overall as a customer and overall in, you know, getting fit than if they only go through the first product first, because it explains a lot of the basics. It helps them do it without hurting themselves, not go too fast. You know, it gets them basically, you're good, properly educated and motivated to then engage with the other courses. And they are selling this course, but I'm just saying they force everybody who comes in to buy one course. And then it's an exact progression. I believe, if I remember correctly, the first one is like a 30-day like fitness thing. And then if you go through that, then they're offering you a 6-month, like, you know, get to the next level package. And then I believe after 6 months, it's like a fitness for life type deal. Yes?
In that model, do they let the customer know this more ahead? Does the customer know that they're going to be upsold?
In some cases. So when they first get in, they can see some of that stuff. But there are other cases where they don't start showing things until after someone's reached a point, because they said they found people get distracted. And what these guys do well also is they are tracking as people go through. I'm pretty sure they just use like LearnDash and simple stuff, but they're very interested in the content and the curriculum. And let me come back to this question about Netflix for a minute. So right here, we're talking about, is Netflix, you know, do they use gamification? I would say what they really use, and it's not really an argument against, what they use, what you're talking about, is they use analytics and they use prediction, right? So what I found kind of interesting is learning about how much they know about people's viewing patterns. And if you look at all the content Netflix makes now, what do they make? They make a lot of comedies. They make a lot of like stand-up specials, right? And what I mean by what they make is not what they license. What does Netflix themselves produce, right? And why do they produce that? It's because they've run the analytics to know that, hey, people love this. If we make this, they're going to watch it. And if we have enough of it, they'll stay a member forever. But if they only have what they were able to license, people would have gone through all that and been like, okay, I'm done, right? So now they have this continuous thing, and it's almost scary to me how they've really figured out the format. If you watch the shows that they make more than any other shows, they're so binge watchable. You know, they're not good actors. Like, they're not well-known actors in every case, but the way they've designed it, because of the analytics that they run, they know, hey, if we design it this way, if we market it this way, if it's in this genre, you know, if we suggest it after these other things, they know all of that very specifically. And that's why they're killing it. And so let's jump into this site's LearnDash, and I'll just point out a couple things in case anybody has any questions. I want to make sure you guys are very comfortable with using like Netflix level LearnDash. And what I'll also point out, so I'm trying to plug this in, is this, most of these sites, and this site in particular. So one of our other case studies, if I go back, was this one. So these guys crush it. They're a client of Jen's, but Jamal and his wife. So there's a case study here of them if you want to go check it out. But this is their site. And Jen recently helped them redo it. Let me squinch this down too so we can see what they've got. And what I want to point out is these guys, I don't even remember. I think when I talked to them, do you know how many members they have?
Their last launch, they just sold a little over 3,000.
They're at 6,000 active members.
Right. Yeah, and their site is basically about helping single people find a partner and get married. But it's a training site, it's a membership site. It's not like a Match.com type of thing. And what they do is so simple, right? And I love, their LearnDash here. They've got LearnDash. You know what I don't see? I don't see BadgeOS. It's not really gamified. You know what I mean? It's all going to be in the navigation. And when I talked to him, one of the biggest things that stood out to me was he talked about making his videos viral. And the way that they did that, and having a community aspect and all these things, and they might have added some sort of community later, but it's in the video itself. It's what Netflix is doing. It's every video, at the end of the video, Jamal is saying, what did you get from this? Comment below. And he's super high energy, super like pure, authentic, cool guy. But he's really selling them. At the end of the video, he sells hard on engage below the video. And they use the WordPress comments. Do they still use the WordPress comments?
Yep.
Yeah.
We actually just killed the forum, the whole community thing that they had set up. We just killed it.
Bam. People are always like, do I get a forum or Facebook or both? Or it's like, stop, Just make your content good. And so his content is good, and at the end he asks people to comment, tons of people comment. The social proof of, hey, I'm in a membership site and there's 300 comments below this membership video, I should watch this video. Does that make sense? And then when you get done, so you went into the video with a higher expectation, which means you're going to get more out of it because you're in a positive mindset. And then when you're done, they ask you to comment, and then you go comment, and the cycle continues. So I love this example as we're talking about LearnDash, and I love this conversation about Netflix. It's just like, yeah, it's not really the bells and whistles. You want to know when to use them to solve which problems, and if those problems arise, go ahead, right? But the basics get you so much further. What I should say is the basics are way more scalable, because every bell and whistle you have, the more content you have, the more bells and whistles you're maintaining. And for Susan, for example, or when you get to that level and you then try to simplify, it can be an issue. So hopefully that makes sense. So what I want to do, just to rearrange the schedule slightly, well, I'll ask, does anybody have any questions specifically about LearnDash? Do you want to kind of, yes?
We have self-study courses and we have interactive versions of our courses. So the self-study are easy. It's created in one LearnDash course and everybody who applies it goes through. The interactive courses we repeat anywhere from 4 to 8 times a year, and those are ones in which Nick actually takes assignments
Mm-hmm.
through a community and gives feedback on. So every time we run those, we have been, I had the freelancer who was doing this working for me, so I'm not all that familiar with it. But I think she was cloning the course, the LearnDash course, for every new start date. So if we were going to run, fall, spring, winter, summer, and every new course she would clone so that she could then tag it with a start date and put it in the campaign. And we would go to the Teach Us Up campaign and change the start date and the reminder date, and has dripped each module week by week through that. And just as she left me, holding all of this mess, she said, I think you want to find out how to not have to clone that LearnDash course every time, and somehow just each time you start a new course, run people through. There's no content, being added by the individual group. It was just all about the dates and the dripping of the dates and all of that. Is that anything you can speak to, or is that so individual that I should?
No, that's best practice. You want to clone it every time, so you just have unlimited number of lessons cluttering up your database, I think. No, sorry.
Basically, doing it perfectly.
Ah.
This is how we made a mess of our stuff, so.
Yeah, I was going to say you should be able to just go into the lesson and change the tags and dates, because no one's using it when you go to change it at that time, right?
I guess sometimes they overlap, but yeah, that's such an obvious answer, I don't know why.
Yeah, and it's okay. People do it all the time.
I'm gonna call her and ask her to clarify what the question is, because she's smart enough.
Sure.
She should have known that. There must be something more.
Yeah, and it definitely you don't have to clone it. So she might need to know some piece, but you don't have to clone it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And if, for example, you had somebody from a previous time still in there and you wanted to be careful about the triggers, you could just tag them, like you could change a condition in Infusion. So imagine your Infusion campaign that does whatever it does in relation to this course. You could just change a condition at the beginning that says, hey, pull out anybody from all this stuff if they have this tag. So like tag, right, so each group is a cohort, and so you just tag that cohort and then be able to remove them. Suck them out of the campaign before the next cohort starts.
I think it's that's clarifying what the issue is. The course, once they go through, the modules are dripped for the first 8
Uh-huh.
weeks, but then they retain access. So
Mhm.
anybody, that's right. So she didn't know how to do it so that she could close. Anybody who's in it already needs to have access to all modules,
Mhm.
and she didn't know how to do that. But I see. So this would be a way so that anybody who starts in the fall could have a fall date, start date, goes through, and then the modules could stay open for them. Or?
Sure. So for example, a lot of times when we call them cohorts, but it's groups of people. It's a group of people in a time frame is kind of what that is. And when they come through, you can give them 2 tags. You can give them the basic you have access tag and then the you're part of this group tag. And then leave them the access tag, but use the part of the group tag to shut down, as a filter to shut down anything you don't want happening going forward. Does that make, in Infusionsoft?
And we have that kind of same setup because we do these live master classes a couple times a year that have a regular start date and a regular end date with written content, just like you're talking about, and then our people retain access to. But instead of cloning the same course, we just created an alumni tag. And so
Mhm.
we take the drip tag off of the people who've already gone through it, apply the alumni tag so that they have access to all the modules and everything, and then we just start fresh with applying the new drip tagging system to the new people.
All right, so conceptually, I totally get it. Trying to work
Yeah.
with somebody can help you
Yeah.
with the mechanics.
Yeah, and thank you, Susan. And just to add on to what she said, in case it's not clear, any piece of content can say, I'm available to anyone who has this tag or this tag. And that's why it can say if you have the drip tag or the alumni tag, you get in. But they're the same, they have the same access, but you can treat them different if you need to.
Okay, so that tagging then happens at the module level, where the drip tag would only have the one, and all the other ones, once they've been through, the alumni tag could have, all the subsequent modules would have an alumni tag. So
The
they would
alumni
have
tag
access.
is like a super tag.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
they get everywhere.
When I get in, I'll figure
Yeah.
it out. I get it, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Cool. And just to show you guys a couple of the real basic settings, so I'm going to go into one of their courses here for a moment just to point out a few settings. Because with LearnDash and Membarium, there's overlap in our functionality. So a lot of people get confused by that because they say, well, LearnDash has its own way to buy a course. Should I use that? And it's like, well, not really. You could. So LearnDash can be standalone. And Justin has told me a few times that most of their customers just use LearnDash and PayPal. So it can be standalone, and it has functionality to manage that. But once you're using Infusion, you're way beyond that. And so you want Infusion running the show, right? And so what you'll see down here in the LearnDash settings, and this is what I want to point out, because this is basically the only thing you really need to know about how to make this work, is that with LearnDash, you want to shut off. Sorry, I'm having a problem seeing this. Here we go. So here's the course settings. Oh, you guys changed. So they actually changed their labeling. I apologize. Stages are courses for them, right? Okay. So I should say the highest level of content tier in LearnDash is usually called a course, but they changed their labels, which is totally fine. Yeah. So the. Okay.
Because these are not, their old ones aren't updated, they're old stages.
Oh, well, and that's okay. All I wanted to point out is just this setting right here. So right here, the price type. So just so you guys understand, this is a LearnDash thing where they're saying, you know, how is this content distributed? Do we just give it out for free? Which you can have totally public free LearnDash content. Is it, well, free even means I think have to sign up. Open means, or at least register. Open means it's just totally open, you know, nobody has to do anything. Closed means no one can come in. Buy now means they'll actually say, hey, it's available, but you have to pay through us. All this you just ignore. What I typically do is I just hit closed. So you don't need any of this stuff in LearnDash. You actually want it closed, and then you can use the Membarium stuff to unlock it. And this is the regular Membarium content protection right here. And I'm assuming everyone is logged in and looked at their own Membarium, right? Is anyone not tinkered at all? Okay, great. All right, great. So you guys are familiar with that. This is the kicker right here, the LearnDash Membarium integration. So basically what this does, the auto-enroll tag, is it overrides everything LearnDash is doing and gives them access. Because what LearnDash, see if I can explain this very well. So LearnDash and Membarium, like I said, they have some overlap. It's kind of like a little Venn diagram where here's Membarium, we're blue, and here's LearnDash. And they do all this gamification stuff, and we do all this Infusionsoft stuff, and we both try to control access to the content. Does that make sense? So the auto-enroll tag is where we say, well, let's let Membarium, by applying a tag or by detecting that a tag has been applied, completely own this chunk. Just take it over from LearnDash and own it. But there's two reasons for that. It's not just control of who's giving access to the content. The other big reason is that you actually want them enrolled in LearnDash. So LearnDash has a concept of enrollment. Super important. That's why that setting is called the auto-enroll tag. And what it means is if they have this tag, automatically enroll them in the course. Enrollment in LearnDash terminology means now they can take the course, now they can take the quizzes, now we'll show it in their LearnDash profile. Basically, it's something that LearnDash is looking for in order to operate. And so that's what a lot of people kind of miss. They think, well, they have the membership, I checked the box, what's going on? And it's, well, LearnDash and Membarium are still fighting over that piece until you do this setting. And this, just any tag from Infusion, if they have that tag, they're enrolled in the course. If they are enrolled in the course, they automatically have all the lessons and topics and everything else under the course. That's another thing people will do is in fact, you don't have to use this at all if you don't want to. The content protection on LearnDash, you don't. You can simply use the auto-enroll tag, and everything under it, like I said, is protected. What some people will do is they'll protect the course, and then they'll protect every lesson in the course and every topic, which doesn't hurt anything. It's just totally unnecessary. So this is why I would encourage you guys to just keep it simple initially with this. Don't even worry about dripping, like I said, unless there's a really, really good reason to do it. Just keep it simple and say, can they get into the course? If so, great. Because what LearnDash will do, and I'll try to go to a newer one as a better example. So ignore the ones that say old, right? I'm going to fix this for you guys. If you guys ever see this, if you go to screen options, you can turn off all that junk so that you can see your stuff better. Probably want date, not category, and maybe membership levels. So I just basically changed this display so it's not crazy. But anyways, here's stage 2. Whoops, that's not what I meant to click on. So that's all it really is. So these little green check marks, I'm imagining, if I take it, that's going to become green. And so again, these guys are, this is I mean, look at this thing. Super simple. Which way should I go? I'm going to check out their dashboard too. But what I'm pointing out is, are they using gamification? No. Did they, the design's nice here. It's not bad. Everything's kind of clean and chic and whatnot, but they're just trying to get people, let me go into one of these. They're, for the most part, trying to get you into it, and then once you, oh, I like this, select this stage. Yeah, so you can see 84 comments below whatever's going on here. But yeah, these little blue check marks, somebody's been through this a little bit. That's all it is. That's all they're doing. And they have thousands of members, right? And it's because they focus on the content. It's because they keep it simple enough for people to engage with the content instead of getting distracted. So let's talk about now the membership mistakes. We're going to do that a little bit tomorrow, but I wanted to kind of put it in today. Everyone's pretty straight on LearnDash? No, you're great. We can spend as much time as we need to on LearnDash.
All right, so just a couple things. So back to the auto enroll. I just went in to see I have never done this myself.
Uh-huh.
Freelancer did, so I just went in to see the upcoming course, how she set it up. And there's nothing under auto enroll tags. And the only thing she has is under require tag IDs is where she has the status, the access to the course.
Yeah.
Like the course access.
So
and
she
content production.
she just needs some training, I think.
Well, she's left me, so I'm
Okay.
who's
Yeah.
here to get the training.
So that tag ID that's in required tag ID, just move it to the auto enroll tag.
To the auto enroll,
Yes,
and that's all.
that's
And
it.
then I don't need this course protection up here at all?
Well, let me explain something real quick. So with LearnDash, there's this overlap, right? There's really 3 versions of the page that are possible. There's version 1, which is you don't get access, go away. There's version 2, which is here's the contents, but you can't actually click on anything. And there's version 3, which is here's the contents and you can click on them and go to them. And so if you only set the auto enroll tag, you're in version 2. And what it means is, hey, Membarium's not stopping you from getting to the page, but if you're not enrolled, LearnDash won't let you click on anything. Does that make sense? So they'll show you the contents, but you can't click into the contents. And then if you want to go with version 1, where they can't get to it at all, you use the auto enroll and the membership stuff. So you can use both, but one controls whether they get to the stuff, one controls whether they get to the page. So Membarium content protection says, can you get to the page or not? And then the auto enroll says, fine, get to the page, we don't care, but can you get to the content or not? And then, like I said, if they are auto-enrolled and can get to the page, that's when it's the full thing.
Under the first one, what's under auto enroll? What was the second thing?
Membership. So if you use the membership protection, they won't even be able to get to the page.
And so is it a better practice marketing-wise to let them see the content?
I think so. That's why I say you don't even need the other stuff.
So ignore the content protection,
Yeah.
just use auto enroll.
Right.
And that way
Right.
members get through.
And then basically it's like, well, Membarium's driving you to the door, and then LearnDash is taking care of the rest of it, right?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One of the times that we use the membership part is when we don't want people to be able to see the content, and if they can't access it, we want to bounce them out
Mm-hmm.
to a sales page. So inside of that box where you have the membership content protection, you can actually say if there's no access, redirect them to the specific page. So we'll put like a sales page that's specific to that.
Oh, I see, redirect no access.
Yeah, and good point. When I say they can't get to the page, it should boot them to a sales page. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. And that's why I say, like with the Google First Click, it's kind of a version 2 where it's like, hey, you can see some of this, or you can see 90 seconds or whatever, and then sales page. But it's to bring them in, just like Jen's talking about. Any other questions on LearnDash? Or is it pretty good? Because that's, like I said, the auto enroll is really all you need. If you want to do other stuff, you can.
My other question is, I don't see the stage, I'm confused about the stages, and I don't know.
Sorry, so LearnDash by default comes out course, lesson, topic, but they allow you to change those labels. So they just change the labels. It's the same thing.
But yours, when you were showing it, it had stages, then courses under.
And it's because their business uses that
We just
nomenclature.
changed the label, it's still exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So on ours, stage is your course.
Right.
Yeah, no, I thought
We
I
just
saw
changed
it.
the words. I didn't
Yeah.
remember.
It is confusing that.
I saw you had courses as well.
Yeah, she did. Right.
And do I need to understand that?
No.
It's just a label.
We just put that in there to see if you were paying attention. So, and you're great. Anything else on that?
Clear now, thank you.
Is everyone else okay with LearnDash? Nick, how are you feeling on the tech side?
I'm not sure why I would need LearnDash
Great point. Yeah.
Later on, if I'm doing the core structure where you've got this and then you've got these lessons
Mhm.
underneath. Yeah, sure, but at least you buy a product and that's it. You just demo the product you're doing.
Yeah. So, and that's actually a really good thing to think about is even though like I'm an affiliate of LearnDash, I sell it, I love it, not every site needs it. So yeah, feel free to ditch it. Feel free to only use it for navigation and ignore the rest. And that's how I felt about it was, yeah, not every site needs it, but to me, for $150, it's so much easier to just populate the content in there than manually. But it's not necessary, for sure. Okay, all right, yes.
Sometimes it's a personal preference too. It's like when I was like trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to be using? What are my tools and all my setup or whatever, my stack, right?
Mm-hmm.
I looked at LearnDash, right? Tried to make that work, didn't really like it. I used Thrive Themes, so I tried Apprentice, which really is not good. And like I just wasn't feeling it. Like sometimes it's just a personal preference. Like
Yeah.
I just didn't like LearnDash for myself, and I kind of looked for a different tool, and I found a theme that I liked better that helped me accomplish some of the stuff that I use instead. That gives me some baseline, like kind of learning management system functionality without all of the extra gamification and bells and whistles that I'll never easily don't
So
need.
you build almost an entirely new product.
Yeah. So for me, it's control, that kind of stuff is control, with like Membarium and Infusionsoft, but a lot of the course build out, and access of like, here's the public facing, you can't get in unless you buy, and here's the, member access, yeah, you can see everything. It's all handled at the theme level, because I found this theme that I really liked, and it's like, oh, okay, here's my thing. But like, there's so many people that absolutely love LearnDash, I keep trying to love it, and I just don't.
Yeah. Yeah, it is totally a preference thing. And we integrate to 3 or 4 other LMSs. So there's tons of flavors. All right, so let's talk about some of the membership mistakes. I've actually shared some of them as we've gone along, obviously with the 4 stages, some of the other ones that I've made. One that I think is probably, just to kind of share a story. So when I first was launching my Infusionsoft training site, this was a long, 2010 or 11 or something. There was not Infusionsoft training videos. They didn't even have training videos themselves. Nobody knew how to use the software. Really, their customer support didn't, right? And so I made this Infusionsoft training. I thought, oh, this is going to kill it because it's so needed, blah, blah, blah. And I'm a good marketer because I've been doing this marketing stuff for a while and helping people. And I wrote a sales letter, all this, put it out there, and got crickets. And it scared me to death because I was just like, I had put all the effort into building this site, right? I'd done the mistake that I'm telling you to avoid, which is I didn't test anything, right? However, the situation was so bad that I was like, no, I have to make this work. And so I talked to a couple of my friends, and one of them recommended some copywriting stuff. This guy, Gary Bencivenga, on hooks, how to develop a hook. Is anybody in here familiar with hooks? Okay, so most of you guys are great. And basically, to make a long story short, that same thing that didn't sell at all, and I mean, for like 30 days, I was hitting my list, I was hitting affiliate. I had affiliates engaged. So in fact, I did a big, very public at the time, affiliate launch, and it got a lot of traction, and we were doing an affiliate leaderboard to get the leads, and so there's all this momentum of, hey, we've got all these leads, not selling, right? And so I'd made the mistake already, but in that situation, this is where most people think, oh, I'm going to change the product. No, all I did, ultimately, I didn't even change the sales letter. I changed the headline, and I changed the offer a little bit, which is I just made more payment plans. So I was trying to sell something, I think it was like $9.97. It might have been $19.97 that I was trying to sell this for. And so after reading this whole thing, I was just like, oh my gosh, my headline sucks. And my headline, it was something like, make money with Infusionsoft, or make more money, or learn how to use Infusionsoft. Or I was really like on that path. And after studying all this, what the hook was that I ended up using that made it work really well was how a normal, everyday guy how did it go? How a normal, everyday guy learned to master Infusionsoft and grow businesses, blah, 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 blah. And so what it was is it was connecting it to normal, because it was, if saying, I'm the Infusionsoft master, people are like, well, I can't learn from you. You're different. You know what I mean? Like, you're not me, therefore this isn't going to work. But connecting it to that, so the main thing there, kind of the aha moment was, oh, really this is all about copywriting. It's all about marketing. It doesn't matter what the content is in the site. And I know that for a fact because they haven't seen it yet. They're not buying based on what's in the site. You know what I mean? So again, it's Gary Bencivenga, and I would encourage everybody to work on your hook. It's probably the highest leverage thing you can do for your membership site. So it's not just in stage 2. Obviously, we talked about how stage 2 is all about sales and whatnot, but I recently did a podcast and then a case study with Kim Snyder. I don't know if anybody remembers her. She was in the infusion space, was most helpful partner 1 year. But she's kind of moved on and is doing other stuff and has a crypto membership site, an active campaign that uses Memberium. And it was so interesting to talk to her. Like, we were catching up, and it was so interesting. I was like, we got to do a podcast. And that was so interesting. I was like, we got to do a case study. Because basically the whole time what she was saying is, like, forget about the membership site. In fact, when I did the podcast, she didn't even yet have a membership site. And that's what the podcast was about, was how she doesn't even need it yet. Because she did this dinky little thing where she just had some videos and she sent people like a text document with links to videos that are on YouTube that anyone could find. You know what I mean? That was her membership. That's what she was selling. But what she was doing the whole time, it's not that it was a bad business, people love it. It's that she knows how to build a membership site. She knows how to use Infusionsoft. Like I said, she was Infusionsoft's most helpful partner 1 year. She gets it, right? She can do this stuff. But she knows it's not necessary until she finds out her hook. And that's what the podcast and the case study was really about. What we talked about most of the time was all she's doing is trying to find her hook in this business. The whole thing is she's trying different ways to sell members. So I'm going to try to sell it this way. I'm going to try to sell it this way. And she just changes it every time. Because what she knows from a lot of past experience, she's had a lot of successful businesses, is that when she does find the hook, everything else will flow from there. Like, it'll be easy to find members, easy to sell them. And whatever the hook is, by the way, is what she should be building anyways. Because the problem is she's going to build what she thinks what they want, and then she's going to find out, oh, this is what really connects. Now I got to deliver on that. Do I tweak my product now to make, you know what I mean? So she's totally obsessed with finding the hook and minimizing the build out of the membership site. And her hook's gotten better to where she did finally build a membership site, and that's when we did the case study. And you know what the case study was about? It was about how dumb her membership site was. It really was. And that was the point that I wanted to make, and why I invited her on, is like, look, I know you could do whatever you want. She actually, her membership site was the stock theme that was installed with WordPress. She's like, oh, I don't need to change this. And then she embedded her YouTube videos. She didn't even move them to Amazon or Video or whatever. She embedded her YouTube videos. And she made the basic connection. There's no other plugins. Literally, it's Memberium, WordPress, the default theme, active campaign. That's what she's doing. And I'm sure whatever to pay, Thrivecart or something.
Who's this guy, Gary, talks about the hook? How do you spell that?
Bencivenga. I think it's Bencivenga. I'm not totally positive. And the example he gives, and sorry, my copywriting juices aren't flowing. I couldn't remember what my old headline was. But the example he gives in there that kind of illustrates it a little bit is he's talking about these kids who were trying to sell worms. And they were like, okay, well, 5 worms for $1. It's not selling. 10 worms for $1. 2 things of worms for $1. Why are these not selling? Let's package them this way. Let's package them that way. Let's try different types of worms. Let's try a different sign, whatever, right? And what they found ultimately worked, and it's based on a true story, but I'm sure he maybe embellished a little or changed it over time. But what they found worked it as, it said something like, 2 cans of worms for $5 plus a map to the best fishing holes in the area. Free, right? So that's where it's like, what are they really buying? Are they buying worms? No, right? But that's going to get fishermen's attention. Like, that's going to be, they don't care about the worms, really. So that hook you wouldn't expect, but they had to play around and play around and play around. Probably talk to people, like I said, call your customers. Hey, what would make you buy this? And just be really straight with them. Hey, can I add your credit card to this thing? $300 a month today? Whoa, 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 I like you, but, what am I getting, right? And just talk to them and figure out, well, what could I give you? What could I put in the membership site that would be so enticing that you would actually get up, log in, spend 20 minutes? What would that be, to that person? And you can ask them and then put that in there, right? So it's this kind of like super basic, stuff that gets overlooked, especially in this internet marketing tech space because of all the shiny objects, all the potential, which is all good, Tools are great, but it's kind of your intention. Some other mistakes. So one mistake, all the mistakes I made recently, I made a lot of mistakes recently. So a year ago, I did an event, a membership summit, and I recorded it thinking, okay, I'm going to take these recordings and make them into a membership site. Well, that membership site today is not great. It's kind of an embarrassment because what we did is I designed the event curriculum, and then I told a copywriter, a great copywriter, I said, hey, do a bunch of research and tell me what the membership site should be, right? What should it be? And so she did the research, and we tested some stuff. We figured out what it should be, and then we tried to jimmy rig the event recordings into the membership site, right? And as a first step, I don't feel bad about that. And the reason I say that is because the content at the event was great. People loved it, it's all good. So will they like it in this other format? And so that's a mistake I've made is when I found out it worked, which it did because I was very surprised. We sold like 60,000 in memberships last summer just with some emails to our list and a basic sales page. And I point that out, not to brag, but to say our copywriter, who's, like I said, very advanced, she went through all the Jeff Walker stuff and all this, and she's like, we have to do a product launch. We're leaving money on the table if we blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, I don't want to invest all that money until I see if this works. So we wrote one sales page, we sent some emails, it worked really well. And that's an unexpected win, great. And then my mistake was I should have immediately started redoing the course because I was just like, oh, this works, I'll let them watch these videos. And I was doing Q&As and adding a masterclass once a month to the course. So not completely slacking, but looking back 1 year ago, it's like, oh, had I rebuilt the course, then I'd have a much different system going right now. I'd have much different potential. As it is, I feel like the people who went into the course, membership.coach, it's like, it's event recordings, there's not a lot new going on, the stuff's fine, but it's like, okay, that's my mistake, is not when I found out it was working, reinvesting. I kind of coasted. It was like, oh, it's working great, right? Move my attention elsewhere. And part of my problem is running Membarium and this. I'm split. And I've noticed that with other people I've talked to who they want to be doing the membership site, but business pulls them away. And it's okay, it's something to manage. I haven't figured it out, so I'm not gonna tell you some formula. But yeah, that's a mistake recently. And then I would say committing in the first place to doing the master classes was a mistake. What I mean by that is the copywriter said every month you should add a master class to the site. And the reason I say it was a mistake, and the reason I should have went with my gut, it's completely my fault because I knew that, is doing the masterclass, being on the hook to create a masterclass every month sucks up all my creative energy, right? So I'm not really developing more course stuff. I'm keeping up, right? I'm bailing water. Does that make sense? And it sucks. So much so that I paid her to do most of the master classes. I was just like, I don't want to do these, right? So I'm going to discontinue that, and now that's going to be not a terrible conversation, but a conversation I have to have with my members of, hey, those master classes I told you you'd get? Yeah, I'm not going to do those anymore. But I am going to potentially create more content and give it to you, but I'm not going to commit to a time frame because that would cramp the whole thing. So some people are going to leave, right? And so those are the mistakes that I made recently with this site. That's like, okay, looking back, I would have tried to design the membership site first, like done the research that we did first, then hold the event with full knowledge that that's what's going into there, because then it would have been more coherent. Then immediately started retooling the videos, because I feel anyways, I can make a better presentation and do a better training, with slides and with that, and with retakes and edits and whatever, make it tighter, right? And that's my goal, is I want to make the tightest possible membership site ever, and it's super loose right now. People have to be in a good mindset and really mine for the nuggets the way it is now. One of the things I'm happy that I did with this site is I didn't put in gamification. Why am I happy? Because I have to rebuild the whole stupid site, right? I kept it simple. Replacing it's not going to be that hard. And I know now once I replace it, adding gamification will make sense. So I eat my own dog food. I go by stage, and I force my team to go by stage. Before they wanted to build all this launch crap, I was like, no, we don't have 10 members, make a sales page. And we got more than expected, and so it's like, oh, cool, right? And that was probably my other mistake, is we jumped right to adolescence, and I didn't do the things I should have done in adolescence. I didn't do all the retention stuff. I didn't rework the onboarding. And I mean, we did a tiny bit, but not really. I'm not proud of it, if that makes sense. So just being open with you guys, it's like, yeah, that's, even knowing everything I know about membership sites, just the clutter of life, of running another business, I'm sure everyone's busy, budget restraints on the team, all these types of things, it was like, okay, this is okay to coast, I'm gonna invest over here instead, yada, yada, and now it's like, oh, now I got this situation. Not all bad, because the thing is I'm in stage 3 instead of stage 0, so that's fine. And that's why I say, on the positive side, do what I did and keep it simple and just throw it out there. On the negative side, if it works, reinvest, So hopefully that makes sense. Do you guys have any membership mistakes that you want to share? Things you would have done differently? I know I'm not the only one. Yeah.
Check, all of them. But, I keep kind of referencing the business pivot, right, that I had, where I kind of changed my topic and my focus. And I've always been an investor, talking about investing, but before it was, we're all in on real estate investing and active real estate investing. And I'm like, that sucks. I don't want to do that anymore, teach it anymore. So then I told everybody, and everybody's super excited, hey, we're going to go into alternative investing. And so then tried to kind of modify and pivot my existing website and membership into that. So got rid of a lot of the real estate content and added some alternative content. We were doing like all sorts of things, like crypto and whatever. And I'm not even a believer in crypto. It's like, what the heck is going on here? Why am I teaching this? So it just wasn't even clear. I didn't have clarity on in my own head, but I was like, ooh, we're going to try this now because this seems fun. Everybody get excited, and I got everybody all excited. And I'm like, yeah, we're not going to do that either. And they're like, okay, well, what are we doing? So I just confused the hell out of my people. And the mistake was, I should have taken more time to draw up the plan and get clarity myself, right, on exactly what I was doing and exactly what I wanted to teach, and really what their journey was going to be and what I wanted their ultimate outcome to be before I ever breathed a word of it publicly to my people. Because now, it's almost kind of a joke for the people that have stuck around, and if by some miracle of God, a couple hundred of them have, like, hey, we're in the car, just take us wherever you want to take us, we'll go wherever. But, I wish in hindsight that I would have planned that a lot better and gotten clarity myself before I got everybody else all excited about it.
Yeah, and that touches into a little like when I told you guys to test before committing to anything. It's kind of rough because you want to test and see what people want and like survey the audience a little bit and stuff like that. But if you ever commit to something and then don't do it, it's like that. Those people who are still around, they just like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's things appealing to them. But it's, what you find and what I find, and, I'm online all day. That's where I work, right? And so I'm really responsive to emails, really responsive to messaging and stuff like that. Your people aren't,
Yeah.
right? So I still have people coming in going, what just happened? Like, I was all in on the alternative stuff, and now everything looks different.
Right.
You haven't gotten the last 14 emails, so, you're way behind. So we still have people, coming on the tail end of that who just aren't as responsive as usually we are. And I think the expectation is that, you need to kind of allow for that like, not everybody's going to be on the same page. And it's your job as the leader to make sure that you bring people along, right, in a kind of a methodical and respectful way, instead of just expecting them, when you send one email, now they get it and they're on the same page with you. And that's another mistake too.
Yeah. And I think, Anne, that's one thing I was thinking about for you last night was where you say, well, 5 years ago I had all this, and so I'm anticipating this. I would be careful about those assumptions, and that's why I said you're still in stage 0, like until you do resell, because they may have forgotten, moved on, emails change and stuff. And I know you're still in touch with them in other ways, but it's just something to think about. Just like put yourself in her position a little past where you're at and think, okay, what mistakes do I want to avoid? What can I not say to these people? You know what I mean? And some of that. I know we've only got 10-ish minutes, and I want to take you guys through a little bit of an exercise. It's a real simple, fun one. I'm not going to ask you to work hard, but I am going to ask you to write a little bit. So if you have these little pads, it's probably about the right size paper. If you can write just down the side, B-R-A-M, B-R-A-M. B-R-A-M, B-RAM, B-RAM. So what this is, we're talking about, you know, like she just mentioned something like getting really clear in my head about what I want to do. And everyone wants that, right? Part of where that comes from is this BRAM exercise. And this is, I found it in an old book, and it's super helpful for everything I've done. So benefits, reasons, and motivations. Oh, I can't write sideways. It's going to look bad. So what I want to know is, for you to build this membership site, for you to do all this crap, what are the benefits to you? So selfishly, somewhat selfishly for a minute here, what are the benefits to you and your business for doing anything that we've talked about? And then what are the reasons? Now, reasons are a little bit different from benefits. Benefit, I'll make more money, I'll have more free time. Reasons, what are you going to do with the time and the money? Family vacation, you know, help take care of a mom or dad or whoever who needs help. So benefits, reasons, and motivations. And motivations are some of those, you know, kind of further out thinking things like, hey, I'm motivated by amazing food. You know, I want to eat at the best restaurants. I'm motivated to travel or to have a big house or whatever, you know. It could be I'm motivated to go to Africa and, you know, do a service project. So what are the benefits to you and your business? What are the reasons you're really doing it? And this is, you're not going to have to share this, just be honest with yourself. What is the reason you're really doing it? When I first did that membership site, my reasoning back then was I didn't want another software company because I was sick of doing software support because I had been doing it wrong at the time. So one of my reasons in doing a membership was I don't want to do services and I don't want to do software. There's too many strings attached to both of those. If I just do info, that's going to be easy. Not that that's a great thought process, but just sharing. So what are the reasons? And again, what are your motivations? So for me, when I even first read my first internet marketing book, maybe 12, 13, I don't know how long ago, it was in the early stage. It was like when it was first converting over from mail order stuff. So like the mail order catalog guys were getting into the internet stuff. And just the picture they painted of like, hey, you could work on a beach and make money and vacation with your family and all this. And at first it was like, oh yeah, right. And then the more they talk about it, it's like, okay, I guess I could see that. But it was one of those super chintzy initial internet marketing advertising things. And I still remember that because it's just like, you know, as cliche as that is, that's probably still most people's motivation, whether they want to admit it or not. You know, it's great to go to a resort, check on your laptop, oh, everything's great, and go do whatever you want, right? So the benefits, reasons, and motivations. And part of the reason I bring this up is because I know this afternoon you're going to be doing some more of the technical stuff. I know that when you get home, there's going to be work to do. Like, you know, all your problems aren't going to be solved at one time. But if you keep this in mind, and I read through mine every day when I'm in good habits, but that's my goal, is to read every day through these things. It's part of an overall gratitude statement kind of thing that I've got. But this is one of the parts that really gets me going every day, because it's like, I don't really want to get up and do all this stuff. Nobody does. But you read through that and it's like, yeah, this doesn't seem that bad. You know, I'll go make the content. I'll go read the documentation to figure out how to solve this issue. I'll talk to support, I'll whatever. So again, if you guys can just kind of be thinking about and write down your benefits, reasons, and motivations, I think it will really, really help you stay, you know, like have that staying power to get the stuff done. So Thanks, guys. I think it's about time for a break. So, Jen.
Absolutely. All right.
That is okay. It's yeah. It's a super. Is everybody actually? I know. Okay, so not everybody has actually set content in LearnDash, right? Okay. I think what we are going to do. So I just want to give you guys a quick picture of this afternoon, what we're actually going to be doing. So we have 3 campaigns dealing with delivery and welcome messaging and kind of all the onboarding process. And then all of the rest of the connections for that back to the site and everything. So there's a lot of the campaign setup. And we also have payment fails and canceling. So getting into being able to set up managing that. So when we get into, we want people to be able to cancel on their own from the website. We also want people, for you guys to be able to cancel people if they call in. You want to be able to handle that manually. So this is kind of all of the nitty gritty of setting these things up. So to be able to make sure that we get these pieces set, we have 3 campaigns that have already been pushed in to your application. And then we'll be walking through some of the Infusionsoft setup and some of the WordPress setup. We have deliberately set these things at kind of the basic level, and then we'll be talking about how to add on to that and expand on that so that you guys, because everybody's adding an expansion will be just slightly different. So, but you guys will know exactly where you need to add extra tags, extra emails, those kinds of things. Super clear as mud? Yeah? All right, so we do have a lot of really awesome implementation stuff this afternoon. And so we are going to dig in. And I think what I might do is actually just kind of, we're just going to switch some things around in the schedule a little bit to coming off of what we just talked about here to make sure that we're all set. So if we bounce around a little bit in your workbook and stuff like that, it's totally fine. We're doing it on purpose. All right. So I think what we want to address first is, does everybody in their site currently have at least 1 or 2 pages for of membership content that you want to be able to allow people to have access to? Does that, no? Okay. All right, so I think where we need to start is by setting up some pages or identifying the pages that you guys have in your sites of content that, I'm losing Nick here, content that we want hidden behind the wall that people can't get to until they log in. Does that make sense? So we're gonna set up probably just like 2 pages and make sure that we have the tag set and that you guys know who is getting what access, right? So in order to entail that, like if we think back from yesterday, we had the tag map, right? Which you guys should all have able to pull up and add to. So we're gonna go through, identify your pages. We're gonna add the tags that we're going to incorporate onto the tag map, add those tags through Membarium into your Infusionsoft account, and then we're gonna connect everything. Kind of makes sense? Yes, no? All right. So let's do, I think maybe, yeah, let me get the projector up. And Kyla is gonna do some of the walkthrough here in pages with content. And then I can come around and, so what Kyla is gonna do is actually go through particular pages. Actually, what I didn't preface is since we have access to the back end of all of your guys' websites, we have gone in and set up draft pages that include some of the short codes that are most commonly utilized for basic setups of Membarium stuff. So Kyla is going to show you guys what we have set in terms of draft pages. Now, if you already have a page that has content, we can use that page instead. But she's going to show you the basics on this one from the draft pages that we set up. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm losing everybody.
They're just not lively yet. We need to get them up and do a jump.
Just gave you guys a break. You go walk around outside. See, we purposely got a place with a bathroom that makes you have to go outside. So you get a little bit of fresh air every once in a while.
And a little bit of sunshine when you go straight out those back doors.
Let's see if we can break the same thing.
There we go.
Nope. There we go. All right. Perfect. All right. So you're doing.
So if you want to get started talking, I can get logged into a site
Okay.
so that I can show those pages. Is that your plan?
Mm-hmm. I already did. Why don't we just go right into the pages? Because I think the best way to kind of handle this, I'm trying to make sure that it's hitting each of your guys' needs, is to look at the draft pages that we've set up, and then we can go and look at, I can help each of you guys and make sure that we're addressing the right content page. Does that seem like the best course? Or am I
Yeah,
overcomplicating again?
No, you're fine. I just want to hide my screen for a sec.
Okay. Okay, so while she's grabbing those, you already have some content, right? Okay. Can you guys all log into the back end of your website? And let's identify kind of 2 key pages of content, all right? Just to work with, so you guys start to understand the pattern. Are you already all set on this part or not?
Can I log in to the back
possibly.
end of your site just
Possibly.
for
Do you
these
have,
pages?
I know you have some.
My content's not on the site, so my
Oh,
And share it
Great,
up here.
okay, so we can work with.
So they won't see the
So we
back
can
end,
work
just
with
those
the pages
particular
that we
draft
put in
pages.
here for some of these. So
Thank
we have
you.
with deliverable page 1, deliverable page 2.
Yes, may I?
Um,
Can
yeah.
I? All of the above.
just so that I'm clear, like,
We can put in some
Thank
test
you.
content for right now, but if you have some already to like drop in, copy and paste, we can do that.
Is this, just so I'm clear, is this a sales page, is this this is
No.
not a sales page?
You
this is
will,
beginning content,
because of the short codes.
that once they log in as a member.
Correct.
they'll
Just
have
the
access
connection
to
won't be there, so we
this,
won't be able to
Correct.
run a
like
test
a
on
welcome
yours.
page. Welcome to
Um,
the website, da-da-da-da-da.
Nope, this would not be a welcome page.
Okay.
This would be an actual like lesson or something that you're teaching.
Got it.
Yep.
Now I understand.
And is yours going to be in LearnDash?
Yes.
Okay. Is anybody here not using LearnDash? Susan, great.
So we're like super at the new stage, and we don't even have content to add into our membership for this moment.
Great. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. We can just put in like some test content. Would it be helpful for everybody if instead we actually went through LearnDash, and except for you, Susan? Oh, okay. All right. So we can do individual pages for you guys, but if we went into LearnDash and said, all right, let's create a course, a lesson, what's the next one? Actually, mostly people just do courses and lessons. And then showed you guys how to set the tags on that. Because I know Micah already looked at it, so it's seriously like it's just a couple minute exercise to do that.
You want to start with that instead?
Let's start with that one instead. And then we'll go back into the draft pages that we've created. And because what we have created are other pages that are more than just content. So we've got like the login page and the account page and things like that, right? Okay, so just everybody pull up your LearnDash stuff and then walk through this exercise so that you understand how to set up and create new ones. And then that can be incorporated into your stuff later, okay? So,
Are you opposed to me doing Santry for this particular exercise? So
Yes,
it's the
because
right.
Santry is not LearnDash anymore. We changed their LMS.
That's right.
Do we have,
I could do ProFit.
yep. Or the maternity one?
Oh, Unique Footprints.
She's on LearnDash also, right?
So I don't have LearnDash installed yet.
Ah, okay. Do you have a LearnDash license?
I do. So I sent an email, but I'd never heard back on anything on, so we do have a LearnDash,
Okay.
yeah. So I can, do I just install it in here?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my knowledge lies. Or doesn't.
We could work on that this afternoon as well. I'm working with James to install his this afternoon as well.
Okay.
I have the,
Are you gonna do LearnDash as well?
10
Okay.
licenses on 10 months. So should I try and sign in on my computer, or is it something
nope.
totally different?
So if you guys don't have, I feel like I'm super overcomplicating this, trying to make it fit for everybody. Okay, so.
Don't dumb it down to where we're at. We'll get there eventually. We'll learn through what you're doing. So please.
I think what we might want to do is just walk through this and have you guys watch this process. And then Kylie can go into the other pages, and you guys can just watch that and walk through that process and just take notes and stuff. And then what we'll do is, like, over lunch and over the other stuff, you guys can actually go through and see, incorporating this in. We are purposefully moving things around so that we have some more workshop time, so that we can actually help you guys some more one-on-one. And so we can kind of move that in. And while I'm actually talking about that, because we are moving things around, and we also already set tomorrow to be very purposefully open for some workshop time and to be kind of flexible. So what I want you guys to be thinking about before lunch is, what are, like, the top 1 or 2 things that each of you would like to maybe take a deep dive on tomorrow. And we will actually kind of adjust that schedule up for tomorrow to make sure that we're in here helping to set those things up that we can all decide on collectively as, like, what are the top 1 or 2 things. So be thinking about that, and we'll hit it after lunch and kind of decide. So go ahead.
So right now what I am in is in LearnDash. So first of all, what I need you guys to do is, anywhere that you see stages, I need you to see courses instead. Anywhere that you see courses, I need you to see lessons instead. So what they've done is they've just changed the names. This is what we went over before. This is that same site as before. So how you want to see it is, stages is like a true overview. Everything's going to live within this particular stage or course. And then you break it down from there. So this is very similar to what Micah was going over yesterday as far as the cards. I have card 1, and now all of a sudden I have card 1.1.1, and then I have 1.2.3, however you want to break those down. So this is how you're going to see it. So here's 1, here's 1.1, here's 1.1.1. And so that's how you're going to think of those as you go through each of the cards. The setup is going to be exactly the same. You want to start. Yes, sir.
Can you just top level? So it goes stages.
Courses, lessons. Say that again. Topics. Thank you, Aaron. You're welcome. So what we're going to do is, right up here at the top, you're going to see the same thing. These are all still within a WordPress builder, so they're still all going to look similar to anything you're doing anywhere else in WordPress. So right here at the top, we are in the stages section, as you can see right here, and we're going to simply click Add New.
Which for you guys, that's actually called courses. So you're going to want to be in the courses section.
I'm going to do just a test 1, 2, 3 so I can remove it out of their system. If you already know what the name of this course is, put in that particular name. Now, as we scroll down, this is the part that Micah was showing you guys, that you have the ability to type in any stage materials, price type, access list. You can even sort your course. This part you may use a lot. LearnDash dynamically is built to base it off of the publish or update date and time. So if you update lesson 3 within this particular course, it's going to put that at the top of your list when people see it. So if you change that, you can change that here by changing your courses to be listed either in a menu order or ascending, descending, so that they can see exactly what they are. That way, if you have 5 courses and somebody's looking at their dashboard, they're not seeing course 1, course 4, course 3, all out of order. You just simply do it ascending or descending.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Of course, that's why I'm here.
The name of the course that you put up there, test 1, 2, 3.
Mhm.
That would be, is that the, just so that I'm clear, the name of the membership or the name of the topic for month 1?
That would be your month 1.
Thank you.
And then,
I'm sorry, I'm not clear on the difference between sort lesson by and sort lesson direction.
so whenever you sort your courses, it can be by a title, a date, or a menu order. And then based on whatever you choose here is what your options are going to be here, ascending and descending. So it's
What's the difference between these two? They give you 2 places to choose a sort. Right.
one is based on the other. No, you're fine. So then, like Micah was mentioning earlier, if we go ahead and put closed on this, nobody has access to that now, which is kind of what we want from them, because now we want to come over here to the right side and we want to auto-enroll those people with whatever access they should have. If you have a progressive, yeah?
What's the difference between buy now and closed? What is closed do?
Closed is telling the system to look at what the permission levels are over here. So no one can accidentally get to that page, even if they have that URL on the back end of your site. So what we usually...
People from getting in there, if it's closed.
Yep.
It's preventing people from finding it accidentally or somebody else sharing that site page.
Yep. And then the buy now portion is more if you're not using something like Infusionsoft.
So if we have Stripe payment, if you were to buy our course directly on our site, instead of using Infusionsoft, you use Stripe. So would I still want buy now to be open so we can still use Stripe?
I would have to see how your courses are set up, but don't you guys use Stripey-Fuse or whatever the new one is, Nexus, to talk to Infusionsoft, and that's how your stuff is triggered? If you want, let's look at that. No, you're totally fine. I don't want to shut you down on that. I just want you, I think we need to look at it to see how you guys have it set up, because that might explain why so much of your process is manual, like we were talking about on the phone that day.
And keep in mind, well, I'm super short, that where Micah talked about that there's a overlap between the two. So LearnDash is actually designed to be completely like a standalone learning management system, LMS. It can operate with WordPress without Infusionsoft and Memberium. Like, so it has some of its own controls in there, and that's one of them, is the buy now. I'm like hiding that.
For yours, I don't think I would do it by now. But we could talk more about that.
I know.
I am not opposed to using open either, because our best practice within Formula Done, we actually always use content protection.
In addition to the enroll.
In addition to the enroll, because that helps with the progression.
Yep.
So down here under the auto enroll tags, that's where you're going to put in whatever tag requires their or allows them access to be in that particular course. So if you have progressive courses, you know that the initial tag is that membership tag, but they have to complete lesson or course 1 before they can move to course 2. So further down, you're going to see maybe
So, and to clarify, while she's looking for that also, when you're thinking about your client path and how people are coming into your content, you can choose to control access to the content that they're getting via dripping out the tag access from an Infusionsoft campaign. Or you could just give them the membership option and they can come in and have access to all of the content. And with LearnDash, you can set it up so that they can go as fast as they want through everything. Like they have to complete lesson 1 before they can complete lesson 2. Or you can make it where they can bounce around and take things as they want. Most people do still go through in progression. So when you're thinking about what the tag is, that's like the auto enroll tag, if you're just opening it up to everybody, it could be that as soon as they buy the membership, that auto enroll tag is like the membership tag, because they're going to come in and have access to everything, and you're not forcing them to have to go through lesson 1, lesson 2, etc. If you're forcing progression, you can actually do using LearnDash. When they complete like lesson 1, they're going to get a lesson 1 complete tag, right? And then that lesson 1 complete tag can then become the auto enroll tag for lesson 2. So as soon as they finish it, they get completed and then automatically enrolls them into the next one. Does that make sense? So it depends on the process that you're taking people through.
So a lot of times what we do, instead of having them on a lesson completion section, we have them on a course completion. So when they go into a course, they could still see every lesson available within that entire section, because the progression is still there. You still have to finish lesson 1 within course 1 before you can move to lesson 2 in course 1. So what you can do over here on the right is it also gives you the option on completion of this section, execute the following actions. This is where you're going to apply an Infusionsoft tag that says course 1 is now complete. So course 1 is complete is applied here, which automatically auto enrolls them right here into course 2. So it's just a constant, very seamless, smooth process to go from one course to another course to another course to another course. Nope, I'm talking about your courses. No, you're fine. So remember that it goes top to bottom. Course is our top one, lesson, and then topics. Within your course, you're going to have lessons. No matter how many lessons you have, you want to know when someone completes that whole course. Whether there's 1 lesson or 20 lessons, you want to know when someone completes that course so they can move on to course 2. So for a good example is Kimberly's. Her course 1 is month 1. Her course 2 is month 2. And she's breaking it down and giving them access on a monthly basis to those courses. And that's when your auto enroll happens.
So for you, Anne, like your Beyond the Manual would be the course. And then each week of lessons inside of that, because I think you said it's an 8-week course. Each lesson inside of that would be like each week would be the lesson inside of that. But then you want to know when they complete the whole course, when they get beyond the manual.
Right, I guess I'm just confused. In our version, nothing is set up to automatically give them access to another course.
And that's totally fine. It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. Sorry, I keep talking about Kimberly's stuff. I'm the most familiar with what she's doing. Kimberly's going to have add-on courses that people can purchase. So with those add-ons, they don't need to progress to another course. They just need access to that one course. When they're done, awesome. We're still going to probably apply a completion tag for future reporting to know that they've already been through it. But there's no other reason for them to progressively go on to another course if there's not one that's related to it.
And in the case of using a LearnDash course for an ongoing membership, like I'm talking about my advanced level membership where there will be a weekly assignment. So I was thinking I would set this up as a LearnDash course, but then each week assignment would be a lesson. Is that correct?
Could be.
And then my question would be, in the case of an ongoing membership subscription where we might plan out a year's worth of weekly topics at a time, could I then just leave it open and keep going in for each, and just keep add another year after year 1, add another 12 lessons or something? I can keep this open-ended so that we can see where it goes. And
Yep, Absolutely. And you would just have them all in there and then control the access each week from a tag from Infusionsoft campaign. It's clicking. I'm seeing it.
I was just confused by the idea of progressing from one course, that automatically auto-roll to another isn't relevant to me, but other people are using.
Not for you, but for other people, yeah.
Perfect. So any additional questions on courses? Perfect. So the next one we're going to go into are lessons. So within your lessons, you can break it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you only one of their courses so that it doesn't confuse you on how we have this set up. So now you're going to see that there are 48 pieces within just this. Just kidding. Hang on. There are 3 pieces within this. So what we have now done is we've gone from the stage or the course to inside of that they have lessons. They now have 3 lessons within inside of it. Inside of those lessons, they have additional topics that live in there. So now we're going through the cards. So we're now at 1.1. Hang on, it took this way, sorry. So we're in this section, we're on index card 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. Inside of these, you have different sections at the bottom that are going to allow that content again, or content protection. So right here under the course, we're going to say what stage is this particular lesson associated with. So this is stage 1, so that's the 1 on your card.
So this would be what course are we associated with?
Yes. Yep, so this is the associated course. And you can do all kinds of stuff. If they need to upload an assignment, if you're going to force a certain amount of time that they have to be on a page before they can move on to the next. They have enabling video progression. This is all part of LearnDash that can just make your system that much bigger and better. But it can also be too much for certain ones. Why are you smiling? Is it a bad thing? Did I say something wrong?
No.
Oh. I got real
Apparently
nervous
I need
there
to
for a
smile more.
minute.
I'm scaring her.
So as you go through these, I don't want you guys overwhelmed with all of the different options. It's just like going into Infusionsoft. There's a reason people call it Confusionsoft. There are unlimited numbers of things that you can do within Infusionsoft. So someone that doesn't understand all of those can very quickly become confused on what the options are. Take it back a step. Keep it simple like we were talking about yesterday. And take it one step at a time of this is what I want it to do. How do I get to step 1? This is what I want it to do. How do I get it to step 2? You can always make things better. You can always simplify things. You could do that. But start simple when you're very first starting out with LearnDash, because if you don't, you're going to get overwhelmed and it's going to be another software that's sitting there that you're paying for every month, unless you paid annually, that you're never going to use because you just overwhelmed yourself trying to do everything all at once. That's one thing that's really nice is within every piece of LearnDash, they have a very similar format to this on every section. So everything looks familiar and it's almost like a wizard. You can go through it step by step and see what's available. Does enable video progression look cool? Yeah, it probably does, but you might not need it yet. So video progression is saying they have to watch this entire video before they can mark it complete. They don't have the option to fast forward. They don't have the option to do anything. I want this to be required for them to go through it. So it's just an option that brings up a whole different set of options. So they're simplifying it for you as well.
So the one right above it, make course visible on specific dates, and that would be apply to mine as like January 1st or whatever date.
You could do that. My suggestion for you, since you have the ability to have a cool CRM like Infusionsoft, is to use tags. Yeah, so you would use your auto enrollment tags over here instead. The only time I've ever used X days is when they don't have a CRM to do the talking for it. So, and then this is going to be, oh, sorry, go ahead, Anne.
So I think that, I haven't gone in there, but I think my freelancer had it all set up. She was always doing these date and access by here. So we should wipe that out, go back and just create an Infusionsoft campaign that tags after X amount, after 1 week at a time to open access to them. Is that
That's completely up to you and how much you want to change the system that you already have. If the system you have is working, then just know what your process is behind the scenes. And a lot of times what I would do is just suggest that you take a step back and almost go through it as a member or someone that's going to purchase your course so that you can see what makes the most sense to you guys.
what I was asking before with Micah is to ultimately eliminate all of the date-specific cloned courses we have and set one up that can be generic. And so that then, if I'm understanding, you're saying provide access to each weekly module via a tag in Infusionsoft instead?
Yep.
So that
That's how I would personally set it up because of my familiarity with Infusionsoft.
they like wait 1 week and then release, and that way,
Yep.
even though I would change the start date every time, I wouldn't have to change every.
Exactly. Exactly, because then it becomes a wait 1 week instead of, like you're saying, a forever changing campaign with new dates every time you launch it. And then it also allows you to have an evergreen option so that you aren't worried about when they start or when they don't. Kimberly's, the reason that I suggested hers doing it that direction is hers only release on the first day of the month. And so it's not based on in 7 days. But with you using Infusionsoft, it's so much easier to jump into Infusionsoft and change a couple of things than it is to go into every individual course, lesson, etc. within LearnDash. And then you have the same exact options over here on the right side with your LearnDash Membarium integration. Once they achieve goals, you can apply tags. Once they complete something, you can also apply tags. Can this become a tag mess? Yes. So just be very specific. Make sure you follow your tag naming convention and it's going to be just fine. And then also think to yourself as far as reporting methods, do you care that they've finished every single lesson or do you only care that they've completed a course? That's going to help you simplify the amount of tags that you have if you don't really, like, I'm not saying that you don't care about what they've done. I'm just saying what is beneficial to you. Are you just overloading your system with 10 million tags saying they've completed it when you could have just used one to know they completed the whole thing or not? Because then it can come into the whole decision diamond. Do they have course completion 1 or do they not have course completion 1 tag? So it just went from do they have 8 lesson completions to only 1 course. If you know they don't have that course completion, then you know somewhere within that course they didn't complete a lesson. Any questions on lessons?
So if you don't, just to use the terminology, if you
Yeah,
don't
please do.
care that they do every single lesson,
Mhm.
you don't need to tag lesson completion. All you need to say is, do they in some way indicate that they finished this particular course?
Yes.
And that might save you writing out 10 lesson tags that you don't.
Exactly. Yep, because at this point now you have course tag completions, and then you're adding on lesson tag completions, and then are we also going to tag every time they complete a topic within that lesson, within that course? Another way that it's used, similar to what Micah was explaining to us before, was once they complete lesson 2 of course 1, now I want to upsell them to something else. That's when it would be beneficial, but you wouldn't have to do it on every one. It would just be on that one particular one that, okay, now they've completed 2 of them. Now I want to upsell them to something else, or I want to congratulate them. For example, this company right here, as soon as they complete stage 7, they get an email that has a really, really nice video. These people are, they're crazy good at videos, that they send, one pops up on their screen as a pop-up as soon as they complete 7, stage 7 or course 7, and then they also get something in their email that says, oh my gosh, you have completed this congratulations, way to go. This is what you can expect next. Like, we are so proud of you for completing our course. This is what you paid for. This is what you've worked so hard for, because their course is a year-long course. And so it's very easy to customize and make them feel excited and appreciated. And the way that they've done the video is very well done and scripted, as far as it looks like they're really talking to you. We have another company that they only open 4 times a year for people to register for their particular membership course. And as soon as you purchase something from them, their thank you page is a video of one girl that comes running in, and she's like, Amy, they just bought. And so they make it a very personal, as soon as they purchased, video. And we can do that based on tags, on purchases, anything, because it's now endless what they can do within the system.
What do they say after Amy they just bought?
Oh my gosh, I should totally show you. It's so cute. They throw a party right in the middle of the video. So there is confetti, and the videographer, he was so funny. He threw like that, is it tinsel or something? He threw it and it landed in one of the girls' mouths. And they just played it off. Like, we're so excited, I just got tinsel in my mouth. And so it's just super, it's cute, but it a little bit cheesy, but it speaks volumes to their audience. Because their audience they aren't technical. So they don't realize that they're not really talking to them. I should. I'll pull it up. It's super cute. I like their stuff. Perfect. So now the next section that we're going to go into is their lessons. Up here at the top, it looks a little bit overwhelming, but once you have those cards written down as one, so the number 1 being your course, dot 2 being your lesson, dot 3 being your topic, now you can break it down here. So right now I'm looking at a screen that has 254 lessons. I'm too simple for that. Topics, thank you. I'm too simple for that. I want to dial that back down and only see what I really want to see. So I can go over here and I can say, I want to see only stage 1 courses, only lesson 1 of stage 1, and filter. And that's the topics that I want to see. So now I'm going to see here that within stage 1, course 1, lesson 1, now I can see all of the different individual topics that they've written and created in this particular section. And it's going to follow the same exact LearnDash method that it's gone through this entire time with us by showing us the associated course, the associated lesson, and then again, we can upload assignments on this particular piece. We can enable video progression. We can do any of that.
Where are the assignments held? Like, let's say you have a PDF. Is it held on LearnDash, or is it?
It is held within your site. Those. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. And then over here on the right, we have the same exact completion options if you want to do them. You can even run action sets. So once someone has completed this particular section, we could run an action set that charges them for something else on their contact record within Infusionsoft. That's just an example of something we would do. It's nice to have the tags in legacy version of Infusionsoft. You had to do everything through an action set. So they already have this tag section. And then again, it's just typing. So you just start to type. It's going to pull up the particular tag that you want to apply, and then you are good to go. Any other LearnDash questions? Anne, are you good? Are you feeling a little bit better? We could talk later too if you would rather. No, that doesn't make you slow at all. It's a lot to learn for sure. Susan, will you be using LearnDash? Okay. She's like, no, I couldn't remember if you were or not. Anybody else? Perfect. Okay, so the next section that we are going to jump into, I'm trying to remember. Jen, are we doing campaign next?
Yeah, are you guys all done?
We are done with LearnDash.
WordPress Master, did you go through the rest of the pages, the login page?
We have not.
Let's do those
Perfect.
while we're in WordPress stuff.
Awesome. Okay, so please keep in mind that whenever you go into the particular pages that you have, they may look different than what they look like on the screen. Everyone has a different builder. We saw a lot of Thrive Architect. I know that I saw a couple Divi builders. Do you know what builder you use Thrive Architect. What do you guys use? Thrive? Bill? I want to say you're Thrive. I'm almost positive you're Thrive. Thrive. James and Julie, do you know what builder you guys use on your website?
I use Thrive.
Thrive. Divi.
OP.
Okay. Thrive. Divi. Thrive. Perfect. So yeah, it's mostly, do you remember Bill's site? I think it's Thrive, right?
I think it might be Optimized Press.
Okay, so we have another OP in here as well. Awesome. So what we're going to see here is, I'm going to go to the, So right now we are within your website. We're on the back end of your website. You're going to go to the Pages section over on the left side. And then you're going to go to Draft at the top. This screen looks super big all of a sudden. Up here at the top, maybe. I want you to just select the Draft section. Are you? That's fine.
Our other site
Is Thrive.
We're back in WordPress.
Back into the WordPress page, go to Pages on the left side, and then you're going to go to Drafts once you're in your Pages section. Everybody in? Need any help, James?
Well, okay, so I'm in the back side of my deal.
You're fine. Yep, so now you're just going to click Pages right here. Perfect. And then you're going to go to Drafts. Once you guys are within the Pages section, go ahead and Drafts, go ahead and click on the Login. Some of you already had a login page on your site, so it could possibly say Membership Workshop Login Page.
I don't have theirs.
Set up mine in.
You know, Julie. You, yes, James. Yes, you should have them. Remember, it's on the membership page, not your main site. Or the academy page. You don't see them? Okay. I'll show, nothing was published by our developer. If not, I'll check after and see if something happened with the developer, but he installed all of those yesterday.
So do the login?
Yes, so we're just clicking the login page.
What's the name of the, under author?
FDMemb. Okay. Yeah, I'll check on that as soon as I get back to my computer.
Okay, so you might just be using
Well, we already have a login.
And you could do the same thing because you guys are already set up through Membarium, so you could go to yours just to see. I'd be interested to see how your guys' is set up. So within our login page, what we've done for you guys is we've tried to make it super simple. So we actually used the WordPress builder for all of you instead of going into your individual builders, and we've already put in the code. So like Micah was explaining earlier, we have a login form, and we always do a send password. We don't want to be emailed every time somebody forgets their password. It's just, if the system will do it for us, let them just do it on there. So a lot of time, let's see, let me jump back into here as well. So the One University, which is the page that we have been working with, let me see. Hey Jen, how do I get to an incognito window on yours?
I'm sorry.
How do I get to incognito on here?
The little three dots up on the top right.
So we have the same exact thing set up for this site that we've used as an example all morning that Micah used as well. Yep. That's how my day goes. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Let's just go. So what your site is going to look like is whatever your theme pulls through. So however your site is set up and the theme that they have on the back end, it's going to be the same for yours, Julie, is it's going to, with just a short code, it's still going to assume the look and feel of the theme and appearance that you have set up on your site. It's just going to put in different fields. So this particular one, we now have the welcome back screen. And then down below, we've said, hey, if you forgot your password, just request it here. All that that's going to do is it's going to send something to Membarium that says send this particular user their password. That's all it's going to do. And it's that simple from this page instead of you guys having to manually do that. If for some reason you don't like the forgot option or password option, just make sure on your login page, best practice, put something on there. If you can't get in, reach out to us this way. Otherwise, people just get really overwhelmed and then you're going to lose them from your membership site if it's just too hard to use.
Are there reasons that you wouldn't automate that you would want them to contact?
No, it's personal preference. We only have very few that don't want to do that. It's that whole custom touchy-feel experience, but people have just come accustomed to knowing that that's an option. So when it's missing, they kind of panic a little bit. So by going back to this, what we can do is I'm just going to preview this page. This is what you're going to see if you're logged in as an admin. So this is why we say it is so incredibly important that when you are testing your system, always use a different account. Because now everything's going to look broken. I'm looking at my site and I'm panicking because I can see brackets, send me my password. Why is this happening? Because you're not in as your test user, you're in as an admin. The best way to always see that is up here at the top. It's going to show you if you're in as an admin or not by having that bar across the top. Any questions so far?
I don't see that.
What don't you see?
The shortcodes.
Are you under text or visual on your page?
So I should be logging then MEMB event.
Yep.
It's just I'm having real trouble with this.
With the internet? I know, I am up there too. I don't know what's going on with
I
it.
had to just shut my system down, pulled it back up again, and we're still.
Denny, it seems like everybody is pretty consistent in having internet issues. Is this something we can check on? Thank you.
See, I can't even.
Which one are you guys on? AT&T or on H Hilton? Well, you can switch to the other one. So if you're on H Honors meeting, you can switch to AT&T meeting. He's already logged in because he got it from me. Have you had to log back in today? You might. Okay, good. Okay. Great. Everybody good? Sorry I didn't get those pages on there yet. I promise I will. I sent it over to our developer and he's having the same problem as me, so I just have to install them instead of having him do it. So. Nick, let's look at that. If you don't have those. Perfect. You got to win. Well, this is how I know that Carrie Lynn and Denny love me.
On the basis now that I've just got to that stage there, what do I need to do now?
So what we're gonna do is, does anybody have a problem with publishing this particular page on their site so that you can see what it looks like? It's not gonna mess anything up on your site if you publish it, and it's not gonna be forward facing. If you already have a login page, double check that you have those short codes on your page already. And once you're into your already existing page, let me know and I can come back and take a look at it too. Perfect.
Here's front facing what it looks like on the incognito site. That's just what I.
Perfect. Yep. And then you have a forgot your password. What we'll do a lot of times, instead of bringing them to a whole new page for forgot your password, is just include it right there on the page.
Is the one that you created, have that included right on the page?
That's actually a Membarium shortcode, so Membarium created that. Yep. So the one that we have.
Better off using your page than, like if I publish this,
Mhm.
and then like this better, can I just disable this?
Yeah,
Use
of
this
course.
one? Okay. So, and is this gonna have any prettiness or formatting?
It's
or is it
not.
gonna just
Your
look like
formatting
this?
is only whatever is going to come through from your theme.
So now that I see what this looks like, because I never did,
Mhm.
so I could fix this in some way? to
Yeah, for
make
sure.
it look
And you
better?
can always use shortcodes, CSS, all of that. So CSS within your site is still going to work, even hand in hand with a shortcode. No, you're fine. Neither do I. That's why we have a developer. Do you have any questions for me, hon?
I don't.
Okay.
So I can publish,
With the short codes that you guys had set up.
Perfect. And it's working good for you? Good.
so I can publish this page that you set up and then just compare the two and
Yeah, that would be perfect.
pick it up.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and do that, everyone. Let's go ahead and publish that page that's in there.
I'm not publishing anything.
That's fine because of how you guys have it set up. I'm going to send you that document so that your people can style it for you.
Yeah, okay.
But it's going to look similar to what. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it is.
Good. Any questions?
Not yet.
Do you want to publish that page so that we can see what it looks like with your particular custom coding? You don't have to if you don't want.
I think I'm gonna wait till I get the Learn Dash and
That's fine.
throw it all together. and
Yeah,
we'll-
let's meet with that today. Yes, dear. Uh-huh.
Not about publishing the page, but about the functionality of the password
Mhm.
short code. So I get a lot of times people, they forget their password, and so then it asks them to input their email address. And when they input their email address, a lot of times, people have multiple email addresses, blah, blah, blah. So
Right.
they put in one that I don't actually have in my database,
Mhm.
and it automatically creates a new contact for them in Fusion. How can I make it not do that?
It shouldn't do that.
It does.
Let's
So
look at that.
It creates a new contact record for them just with that email and no name.
And no name, and then obviously there's not going to be a password on there to send to
And
them.
it sends the email with the password blank. And so that's why I had to add to the thing, if your password is blank, it means that we don't have this user or this email address associated in our database. And so it causes an extra level of customer support.
Right.
So, I want to get them
I
their
wonder how.
password, but I also don't.
Like, but it would be easier on the page to be like, we don't have that email in our database. You know what I mean? Instead of
waiting
it
for that
sending the email.
And my whole thing is, I don't want it to create a new contact, because then I start sending broadcast emails to, if I'm
Somebody that you don't even know.
right, or an email address
Well,
that they
you do,
didn't
but
really
they didn't
want
want.
associated with that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's look into that because I've never had it create a new user on the site for me. Because if it's creating it there, then it's creating it on your site too. So you have a whole bunch of subscribers without passwords on your site.
Okay, I have a quick question, Carol.
Yeah, of course.
I see, so this is mine, this one just pops up right here on the same page when I click it, so I may as well just keep what I have, because everything's set
Yeah.
up for that. Right, oops, what did I do? So.
Yep, so it's exactly the same for you.
Oops, what did I do? I lost this. So I do this and log in. All right, so my question is, all the pages that you guys added, you identified with memvent,
Mhm.
and I can just change the URL of any of those I use to pull that part out, right?
Mhm.
And I'll still identify.
Yep, you can
it
change the
back in.
slug on any of those. So whenever you're on your pages section, see how up there at the top it has /login and then edit next to it? That's called your slug or your permalink,
Okay,
and
so
that's what
this
you can
is-
change.
So this is what this is, and then when I click it, it just shows right up. It doesn't even take
Oh,
anything.
interesting.
So that
Yeah.
Seems like that works fine, right?
Yeah, that's
Same
perfect.
exact thing?
Yep.
So then, do I need to save this page, or could I just delete that?
No, you
page
could
of
just
yours?
delete that page.
Got it.
So just as a reminder, kind of like Ann was just saying, if you already have a page, you like what it looks like, and you know that it's working, just delete the one that we put into your app or into your website as a draft page. That's not going to break anything at all. So these pages, it was just easier for me to install pages on all of your sites to show you what they look like if we touch anything, than it was for me to do a Word document and have you kind of guess where you need to put this information. So let's go ahead and go back to pages. And we're going to go into the My Account page. This page is the one where you're going to see you are currently using Thrive to edit, and that's where this page has been built. The reason that we did this particular page into a builder is because we now have buttons on this page for you guys. So depending on if you have Optimized Press, Divi, Thrive Architect, go ahead and open whatever builder that is so that we can see on your individual site. Again, this is Thrive Architect. If you don't have Thrive Architect, then your page is going to look different. This is a Thrive Architect dashboard. Oh, you mean this section right here? Yep. But you still have the page itself.
What page are we editing right now?
My Account.
Is this one that you guys need? So what I have to do?
Probably not. I'll make sure you get those though, Erin. So, oh, I'm not really sure what I just did. Can anybody else tell that I'm not a Mac user? How do you shrink on a Mac? Shrink a page down.
You might just have to try command, like minus.
Control minus it.
My account is what we're supposed to be in there?
Yes. Yes.
So depending on the size of the screen that you're seeing, you're going to see 3 different buttons on here. You're going to see Update My Account, Update My Billing Information, and Invoices and Subscriptions. If you are not using Infusionsoft for your payments and subscriptions, Invoices and Subscriptions will just go away on your page. You don't want that on there anymore. So what we've done is we've taken the particular short code within Membarium and then we're going to click on this button. And it's going to show you exactly where it's sending you. So this particular Invoices and Subscriptions is going to go to another page. It's going to redirect to that page so that they can cancel their subscription, look at any previous invoices that they have. So that, once again, is an automation piece that allows them to not reach out to your customer service if they need to see something like that.
And you guys have added all those pages, all the backup pages?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And right now you're going to notice that the pages look the URLs look different. They say page ID, and that's because they're in draft mode. They're not currently in a published mode, so it doesn't have the full slug on there. The 2 that you're going to use the most in this section are Update My Account and Update My Billing Information. Within your Update My Account, I'll pull that page up in just a minute so you can see the full short code. That's where you're going to have them update their name, first name, last name, email address, regular mailing address. We have one client that they always need to know what their shipping address is and what their billing address is. So there's so many things within that. They can also change their password, or they could change the email address on file. As soon as they change that particular email address on this page, it's going to go through Membarium. It's going to update all the the information within Infusionsoft and the back end of your site. So the next time they go in to log in, they are now logged in with the new email address that they requested, not what they initially had in the site. Yes, sir.
So, if they update the billing information,
If they have what? Sorry.
if they update the billing information, but I'm using Site Architect.
When they update in Samcart, do they have the option to update their billing information in Samcart when they're with you for your subscriptions, or do you have to manually do that within Samcart?
If they fail a payment, I can send them an update their information email. So I presume that there's a place where they can, maybe it's just asking Samcart a link, instead of updating it wherever that's going to be updated. Maybe they just go straight through to Samcart and update it and it flows through from there.
If you can find the link that they need to use with Samcart, you can put that behind this button. Otherwise, I would take that option completely off your site. Because what this particular one, how we have this coded, is it's going to update Infusionsoft. It's not going to update your Samcart. Unless there's a two-way sync that I don't know about with Samcart.
So that means that if Infusionsoft was updated with a brand new email address, and then Samcart got a subscription and pushed it through, it would just actually cause an issue somewhere because the information's not syncing.
It would create a whole new contact record. Because everything with all integrations with Infusionsoft are primarily based on a contact's email address, primary email address. So it's similar to like if somebody tries to request a password and they use the wrong email address, it's not going to be recognized within the system.
On that basis, because I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
That's fine. Yeah, we can do that for sure. So leading into that next page with the updating billing information. Yes, Anne?
Sorry, my question is that updating information, how does this work with a form in Infusionsoft to update preferences? Is that the same?
It does not, like as far as mailing preferences or email preferences, or what kind of preference?
I don't know, I feel like I just did something recently to, because I'd never done it before, to be able to send a customer a link to update their address and all of that stuff. But I mean, I didn't build in checkboxes for preferences, mailing preferences, because I don't have them yet, but I needed a customer to be able to update her information.
That's totally fine. You probably used a web form to do that, and that can be used exactly the same way. What this is allowing you to do is as soon as they're logged in, then it's automatically talking to their contact record instead of the possibility of them completing a web form and them putting in the wrong email address. So if they fill out that web form and they put in a different email address, whether it's a typo or just a different one that they own, that's going to create a whole new contact record instead of updating the one that they already have on file for you.
So if you wanted somebody, if I wanted to, in the case of, I think somebody was saying yesterday, I don't know, if you don't have their first name or whatever, if you just started by taking subscriptions with email address and you wanted to be able to send an email, a blast to all your customers to say, you know, give us all your information you're willing to give, would you link them to this page rather than a web?
If they're a membership participant, yes, I always send them back to the site. There's two benefits in that. You already know that Membarium has their information, so there's less of a chance. I'm not going to say it gets rid of everything, but there's a less of a chance of a mistake there. The second benefit in sending them into their site is, oh, I wonder if they have new courses. Oh, I wonder if they have new content in here. So they're already in your system, so hopefully they're going to start playing and moving stuff around as well. Within the update billing section, so that's the My Account, within the update billing information, please keep in mind, if their payment has already failed 3 times and then they update their billing information, Infusionsoft will not automatically try to run that card again. You will have to manually run that subscription payment, otherwise they will not have a successful payment on their record. So just always know that what I do whenever, and we'll go over billing automations later, but when I set up my billing automations, my final failure notice, I have an internal notification come to me or whoever's working at the company so that I know that if they email me and say, but I updated my billing information today, I can say, okay, I need to go in and trigger that payment. Another great way is just to put a report on your dashboard of anybody that has a balance on their account so that you can keep an eye on those numbers without having it to be kind of a pain to jump in all the time and double check where we're at on that. So let's look at one more page, and it's going to be the subscription page. Okay.
Where the email address becomes the login, the WordPress login, my understanding was that you can't change that login ever.
Oh, you totally can. So whenever it updates in the system, it'll update because they're using the email address as their login. So when someone logs into your site, that's why I always send out like your username is your email address. That's how we have it set up in Membarium, is username is email address, password is the password field under additional info.
Okay, so that must be, since maybe with WordPress before we had Infusionsoft, you couldn't change it or something, but now that I link that field through to Infusionsoft, whatever's in the email address, comes there to password.
Yep, so you'll be good to go. So the reason that I wanted to go into the subscription and invoice page for you guys is because it's going to look a little more Greek than everything else. So most short codes are very, very simple. memb_contact ID. When it comes to the subscriptions, they're pulling a whole lot more information from behind the scenes and putting it onto the page so that everything talks and plays nice with each other. So you're going to notice that it has a whole bunch of stuff here. The best thing about Membarium, among a ton of other things, because they are amazing, David is fantastic. He's thought of pretty much everything behind the scenes, is you can go to the Membarium website, go to documentation, and find any short code that's going to allow you to do this. The second thing that's great is I'm going to say I want Membarium Infusionsoft subscriptions. All I'm doing is asking the Google for that. The very first thing that you see under ads, which they're running ads on their own thing, on their own search, is this is exactly how I do it. So I don't have to go to 10 different places under documentation and figure out where this code is at, where it lives. And every one of these pieces of information is going to give you additional examples. Could I just list their subscriptions? Yes, and that's a super simple short code. But I can take it even further by showing what the subscription name is, whether it's an active subscription or it's an inactive subscription. I can put a button on there that allows them to cancel that particular subscription. So that's why it's so beneficial to know that Membarium has insane amount of documentation on everything that they offer to customize it to your particular need. If you have subscriptions in Infusionsoft and you want them to be able to cancel them at any given time, it can be as simple as throwing this code on that page. They click cancel, everything else happens for them. You don't have to go in and stop a subscription. You don't have to hope that somebody isn't charged again. You can reach out to them with an email to try to reinitiate them, try to get them to reactivate their account. All of that, all by already knowing that because they clicked one button, their subscription is completely canceled within your system. Yes?
Talk about that a little bit with regard to best practice, because I kind of waver on that. Like, I always want to give them the ability to cancel on their own, but then I'm like, no, I don't want to give them the ability to cancel on their own.
So depends on how your particular company runs, obviously. The One University is a great example. They do not want them to cancel. So they want to do everything they can. So they have a cancel my subscription page or button. Once they click that button, they go to a page that says, are you sure you want to cancel? They click, I'm sure I want to cancel. And then they have a third one. But wait, there's more. Are you sure you want to cancel? We can also offer you this. We hate to see you go, but click here to do your final cancellation. Once there's that many levels, then you have a campaign that cancels it for them. We have others. We have a chiropractic company that they actually have a cancellation page, and it says right on there, do you want to cancel? Call us today. Because they want to recover their clients, or they want to try to retain their clients, and by getting them on the phone, they could possibly sell them into continuing their membership. And then you have other ones. If you have 5,000 people within your system, do you want to spend the time and effort to have a customer service team try to save that one cell? And that's when it would come in handy to just be able to allow them to cancel. And then you can automate off of that. You can send them emails. You can, if you do have a customer service team, you can do that. So basically what you're doing in this example is you're giving them the chance to do what they want to do. You're letting them think it's their idea, I could do it, I have the power. And at the same time, you could be like, dang it, we hate to see you go. What did we do wrong? And it completely turns on your way. So I know that that didn't really answer what best practice is, but it's really dependent on what your company is. If you have any feeling in your gut that you don't want someone to have that power to be able to cancel their own, just give them a simple message so that they know it is simple to cancel, but they already know what the expectation is right up front of they're gonna have to talk to somebody before. Because there are certain things that I'll go into cancel, me personally, I'll go into cancel and be like, oh, I do not wanna call these people, I'll just keep this. Like it's $10 a month, I don't even care. And then there's other ones that I'm like, I have no problem talking to these people and telling them how bad their product is. Like they need this feedback to make it better for the next person. But there are other times, you know, I do contact subscriptions and it's so nice to be able to just jump in there and be like, cancel, I'm done. And no questions asked.
We have some other, I can't remember who it is, but we have another client that we've even set up with the cancel option, and so what it does is it doesn't actually cancel their subscription and do all of the automation changes and stuff in the back end and Infusionsoft. So on the front end, the customer, they go in and they cancel, and it to them it looks like, oh, I just canceled, and they get a, you know, hey, we hate to see you go, warning, whatever. But on the back end, it actually sends internal notifications to the team to reach out, and then if they can't save the person, then they cancel their subscription and do refunds or whatever. But so the cancel process can be as manual or as automated as you want it to be. Obviously, you want to try to retain as many people as you can without kind of crossing that threshold. So you just have to find where that line is. If that makes sense.
Yes.
We've had tremendous response when someone cancels. Our price point is about $40 a month. Say, hey, we really want to see you stick around. Will you consider staying for 3 more months for half price?
Mm-hmm.
And about 40% say, yeah, okay. And then they tend to drop off, but we end up with 3 or 4 months more at a reduced rate. And sometimes they end up, after the 3 months, going to the full amount. We give them an email saying that it's going back, and they stay.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's just a spur of the moment. They just woke up around.
Exactly.
And sometimes if we have people that are on like an annual payment, so because we know what type of subscription they're on, you can change up the message that shows up on the cancel page, right? So if they are an annual subscriber, you can go in and say, hey, it looks like your membership is good until whatever. That's when recording that start date is helpful. But you can say, if you want to cancel, would you like to move to a monthly membership, you know, instead, or a payment type thing? And because you know what membership they are, you can change what the message is that that particular person sees when they go to the cancel page.
And to piggyback on that, you could do the same thing with your emails. Hey, in 1 month, your annual renewal subscription is going to come out of your account. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to pay for this on an annual basis anymore, this is the price that we charge. Click here to downgrade now. Just to try to keep up that retention. Yeah.
When you have annual members and somebody cancels mid-year, I guess it's just personal preference or business preference, whether you offer them a prorated refund or something.
Yeah, for the most part, what we've seen is people, when you change that on the back end, you have an option within Membarium to say like go all the way through the end of the subscription and then it'll end on that date. That's what we usually do. We have very few people that'll give money back on an annual subscription.
And the reason being because it's a giant pain in the you know what. Like it's a completely manual process because you have to go in and figure out how far they are, manually calculate it manually.
Yeah, there is no natively inside of Infusionsoft, there is no way to do a prorate of any kind.
It's really kind of a legal question too, it should be tied into your terms of sale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
A lot of times, I know, like Julie has, her first client was a year-long client. Well, there's certain benefits that person's receiving now, because, including a slight discount, because it is a year-long, that she's paying quarterly. So if she was to exit mid-quarter somewhere, my feeling is she's not entitled to a refund, at least for that quarter, but she also have some responsibility to re-up us for what a 3-month or 6-month would have been.
Yep.
If she's getting a discount. So that all needs to be spelled out from an attorney or legal thing. In your
Right.
review. These, that's how you protect yourself.
Like,
Even whatever we say, I don't know, my background is through the Macy's retail program and customer exchange, so whenever people come, asking, we always just give it to them, because then they come back.
if they're gonna spend the time to ask, I don't know that that's if they're gonna spend the time to ask you, I don't know that it's a bad idea. But let it be them that asks you, not you that offers it to them.
And
to
I'll-
piggyback
oh,
on,
sorry.
what James was saying, was we have a client that it's right in their cancellation policy, on their cancellation page, that says, like, your subscription is automatically gonna be canceled as soon as you click the cancel button. And then they've had maybe 3 people in the last 3 years come forward and say, but I should have access for 2 more weeks. And so they'll give them that access, but that again becomes a manual process, and then you have to remember to remove their access after the 2 weeks.
Yep. And
So